The following live stream has been approved for restricted audiences only. It will definitely contain strong language and maybe some adult themes. Almost certainly. Viewer inebriation is advised.
Remember those days when summer was out for the hottest, sunniest months and all you had to do was make some of the greatest memories of your life? Those were the days, and we're going to be talking about them. Maybe for you it was the days of wine and roses, or maybe it was summer lovin', or maybe it was just VACATION in the summer sun. Tell us in the chat and tell us what you're sipping on now. We'll get this Canarble Wagon rolling right after these messages.
Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
Salud. Welcome. Glad to see y'all here. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I figured because we're talking about summer and, what's a more of a summer drink than iced tea, right? Never had Long Island iced tea before. So I'm having a Long Island iced tea now. And here's the thing. I don't really care for iced tea, the flavor of iced tea. Any kind of iced tea, sweet tea, Arnold Palmer, none of that stuff. But I'm sipping on this because it's thematic and it's not bad. It's better than iced tea in my opinion.
It doesn't taste anything like iced tea.
That's why it tastes better to me. But it is very booze forward. It's equal parts gin, rum, vodka,
Tequila,
triple sec, and then you get some sweet and sour in there and a little bit of cola for color. This is a potent drink. But I get what everyone says, because it doesn't feel like that going down. It's super, super smooth. I got the lemon in there because, that's how you're officially supposed to garnish it. But I really don't friggin' like garnishes on my drink. If I want a salad or fruit or something, I'll eat it separately. Gets in the way of drinking. Speaking of drinking, let's get my sweetheart in here and ask Netter of Netters Network, how you doing, my dear, and what are you sipping on tonight?
It's Friday. The week is over.
Indeed it is.
All the horrendousness.
Mm-hmm.
I am sipping on a Netter's Nectar, which, for those of you who don't know, is cranberry grape juice. And I haven't even had any yet. I'm slurring my words.
Yeah.
Cranberry grape juice along with Malibu rum.
We're going to get good and liquored up, and we're going to have some fun tonight after the stream. Well, I mean, the stream will be fun, too. But anyway. Let's get the aged boomer in here and see what he's sipping on. How you doing, my friend? What are you sipping on?
I have a Sioux City Sarsaparilla in the glass bottle. That's why I had to get up before the stream. Those aren't twist-off caps on these things.
Nope. You got to... Yeah, absolutely.
And I did change my visage tonight.
Yeah, I wanted to see what you really look like, and there you are.
There we go. Anyway, I figure we'll be talking about a Six Flags park or two. I don't know if you've
possibly,
been to a
very
Six Flags
possibly.
park. All right.
So the first one I'm seeing here is Lady Mist dropping some flowers for me. Lady Mist, welcome. So good to see you. You are much, much appreciated, my Blue Wrench. And of course, John, JPRPH1, saying hi to everybody. You guys were here early. As was, the Misty Girl, right? Orville Nation, welcome. I know that you were here, and then you went away, and then you came back again. So I'll say hi to you again in a little bit. This clown, getting drunk. Big Al presents. Hope you have a great stream tonight, my friends. Summer vacation was awesome. Yes, I agree it was. And Midnight Madness is the movie over on Big Al Presents tomorrow night. Netter and I will be joining him for it. You saw the promo. You may have seen it on Monday. You definitely saw it just a few minutes ago. I had a few little jokes hidden in there. We can talk about that later on. We'll probably talk about that tomorrow.
You're talking about summer. Monday night, you can actually put on Corvette Summer.
I did not think of Corvette Summer. I actually have two movies planned out. One Crazy Summer and Summer School. I actually have the thumbnail made up. I just didn't get a chance to put the stream up yet. So those are the films for Monday night at the movies. Hail Connie Cleary, the bird woman of YouTube. Welcome. And also a valued Blue Wrench. Hail also to Tim. Excuse me while I whip this out. Yeah, that was a couple weeks back, but that's fair enough. That is fair enough.
Remember the sorcerer named Tim in Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
Yeah, Tim uses that as his as a greeting over in Cosme during the watch parties. Yeah. Looking forward to some 80s wackiness. Yeah, I guess it was 80s, right? Feels kind of 70s, but yeah, early 80s does feel kind of 70s.
It kind of conflates a little bit at the turn of the decade, doesn't it?
There isn't a hard cutoff, I mean, decades tend to smooth into each other like colors on a rainbow.
I felt 80s was harder than most, but even still, when you got a movie in 80, it still had a 70s vibe because it was filmed in 79, so.
No, that's a good point. That's absolutely true. And Putin's cat. Welcome, Pootie. Someone explain to me how 16 Candles is rated PG. I will tell you how a lot of movies were rated PG and shouldn't have been. Or from our standpoint and sensibilities. For a long time, there was no PG-13. PG-13 didn't come along until, the mid-80s? Mid to late 80s? It was PG or R. And if it wasn't bad enough to be R, it was PG. So here's a few movies that were PG. Gremlins, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Airplane, which absolutely included some upper breasticle nudity.
Whoa.
Yep.
You have to remember, too, PG stood for parental guidance suggested.
Right.
Yeah.
There was an idea that parents could decide, no, this isn't appropriate for my kid, or fuck it, I don't care if he sees some boobs. Poltergeist was PG. Jaws was PG. All of these films probably would be at least PG-13, if not R now. So it was really Gremlins and Indiana Jones that brought about the push for another rating, which was PG-13. It's still basically PG, but they're saying under 13, not admitted without parent or guardian. R was under 17, not admitted without parent or guardian. Where do you go from R? They had an X rating. X rating, not to be confused with triple X, which was not an MPAA rating. That was just porn, right? X rating was, there was stuff in there that was not appropriate even for an R rating. So everyone, no one under 18 was admitted, and it was highly suggested that maybe you didn't want to go see it. The film industry would avoid the X rating. They cut whatever they had to cut to get the R rating. Otherwise, it would just die in the theaters. Anyway, kind of a little bit of a sidetrack there, but John, JPRPH1, welcome, my friend. Matanui, always good to see ya. Stay as long as you can. I super appreciate you. See, it's starting to give me a little hiccups there. David Pensek, thank God it's Friday, and Last Call with Troy Pacelli is the place to be. Drink 'em if you got 'em. Absolutely. Inebriation is suggested. Let's see here.
And expected.
It is encouraged unless you are the type to abstain. See, I'm a teetotaler. I'm having a Long Island iced tea. This may become a favorite drink of mine just so I can make that joke. Keely Chow, haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome. And, of course, Deleted Scenes. Hail. I have returned from the woods unkilled. There you go. We will be hanging out with Deleted Scenes. Netter and I will be on Sunday for part 3 of Back to the Future, which we watched the first 2 parts of on Monday night at the movies. We will join Deleted Scenes and Jedi Bill for Western Cinema Presents at 3 Central, 4 Eastern on their respective channels. Let's see here. And Sir Torrin Clegane, good evening. Welcome, my friend. And Gorilla Random Thoughts. Hapla! But Bich Heck Judge.
I don't know what that is. Can't be good.
He's saying honor and Bich Judge. Be honorable and enjoy.
And drink lots
of blood wine. Absolutely. Samuel Proctor saying hi to Netter. May have said hi to me, but I missed it. That's fine. You say hi to Netter, you encourage me to. Give me a second. I'm still trying to get caught up. I knew I saw the Clue channel. Sweet tea is your drug. Well, fair enough. Let's see here. Jesse Guajardo. Hey there. Good to see you, my friend. Mark Melnikoff. Hapla. It's an orgy of liquor in a glass. That's exactly what this is. Yeah, it's starting to hit me. It's starting to feel pretty good. Let me tell you. Yes, he is the Six Flags man, and he will be talking about Six Flags in just a minute. That aged boomer guy.
Well, not in a minute. We have other things to cover first. one thing at a time. There's a progression here.
Yes, absolutely. And I just I'm just going through quickly to make sure that I don't miss anybody. I think I am caught up. Oh, Curtis Selby. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. And if I missed anybody, T is for Troy. I like that. That's a good point. I'm going to have to play around with a little bit, make sure I get to something that I really, really like. But boy, liquor forward. I mean, there's a good, well, it calls for a half ounce of everything. There's actually 2 ounces of everything in here, so this is a quadruple. It's gonna be a stream, my friends. Let me tell you. Little discouraged this week. You guys know that I've been paying close attention to the watch hours, and what a lot of people don't realize when we talk about watch hours, it's not just an adding game. Every week you get more and more watch hours. It's how many watch hours have you had in the past year. So for every day that I gain watch hours, there's a day at the beginning of the 365 days that drops off. So I am now at that point where I'm losing days, gaining days. It's getting to be a push. It really is. And in about 2 weeks, I'm going to lose a pretty big average maker. It'll be more than a year since the I think it was the Indiana Jones stream with retro blasting, which gave me a lot of watch hours. So I'm gonna have to really step it up. I think I gotta, and I know PJ's there like Troy. I keep telling you, get some standalone videos put up. I know, but I also work full time too. So it's
whereas I just hit 2,000 watch hours.
Well,
I'm only 1,000 behind you.
There you go.
Well, like I said, tonight's conversation will be in segments if you ever want to clip it.
Absolutely. Well, that's actually, I really ought to start doing that more. You're right.
It's hard. I need to be doing it more too, obviously. But yeah.
Obviously, yeah. So
maybe after.
So you have to hope
library thing.
You are getting more watch hours than you did last year. See, that's the thing. That's why I added the Monday night at the movies, and started subscribing to StreamYards so that I could share the stream with Aged Boomer and Netter, because you're casting a wider net that way, getting more watch hours that way as well. Welcome, Logical Spark. Hey, what's up? We're just about to get into our chit chat. We've been saying hi to everybody, doing a little commiserating, a little bit of drinking, having my Long Island iced tea here, and we are going to start talking about some of our favorite summer memories. Now, this topic was suggested by Aged Boomer, and it's pretty timely because we are pretty much getting into the summer.
In southern states, they're out of school already.
Are they really?
The northern states. The northern states are different. I knew this because I got screwed one summer because I left New Jersey when we moved, so I got out in June, and then I had to go to school in August.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Because it starts earlier. It starts like 2 weeks earlier in the South.
Well,
the North, it's after Labor Day.
I'll tell you, it's funny because only during your childhood do you think that way, right? Because once you hit adult, unless you are a school teacher, you pretty much work all year round. That's the way it goes. Or unless you are so independently wealthy you live a life of leisure. How many of us is that? None of us here.
And these are not the leisure summer vacations of the wealthy that we're going to be talking about here.
Absolutely not. These are the working class.
Yes.
The kind that you saw in all the movies.
Exactly. When Hollywood understood who America was, or what America was.
Well, and the movie makers mostly came from
they
middle
did.
America.
They at least were around people like that, so they grew up and they understood. Whereas now it's just they're way out of touch. But we'll get into that in a minute. Okay.
Yeah. So that's just it. This is their last summer, right? Before they got to become adults, or maybe they're going off to university to have their brains melted. But, I mean, Yeah. Oh, are we? Is there something wrong? Are we not coming through clearly, or did we do something wrong, Curtis? Give us feedback. Everything's sounding good on my end. Boomer sounds good to me. Nobody said anything about how I was sounding. Let me know if.
You sound good because I can hear you perfectly in my ears.
He says you got it, so maybe it's okay.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I don't know. All right, so you want to go ahead and hop to it. It would be School A, summer vacation. No fanfare. Let's move along.
Yeah, I don't know if I picked the right one or not, but there you go.
Do any of these pictures look familiar to you, Troy?
You know, it really does. I mean, obviously, this isn't.
Isn't Troy the kid in the front?
It could very well be, right? Let me tell you something. So you're seeing a lot of long hair. You can't tell the difference between the boys and the girls at this age, for F's sake.
Well, you can, because the boys still look like boys.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That's no raising fists. Of course, so is the girl to the right there. But
and the short ties were very common on the teachers back then. I never really understood that. They all looked like Otis from. Yeah, very wide ties. That's true.
I almost think it was it might have been to differentiate themselves from the kids. It's like I'm not your buddy, I'm the adult here. That could have been why the styles were so different.
True.
About it.
True.
I know that when I had to teach as a professor at a university, I'm not going to say which one, but they made a point that at least because I was a student. I mean, I was still in school when I was doing the teaching, but they made a point to us. Make sure you come to class. As a teacher, you're dressed. You don't want to be in the jeans and a t-shirt because you want to differentiate yourself from the students. And that it actually counted double for the young women teaching too. You really had to look professional if you were a young woman, even now when you're teaching, because you need to separate yourself from the student. So that could have been why.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I feel like, look. I'm going to sound like an old geezer here, but, that's what we do here, right? I do feel like they always say dress for the job that you want, not the job that you're in and whatnot. The way you dress sets your mind, right? And actors talk about this all the time. When they get in costume and stuff, they become their character just because of the way they're dressed, the way they're presenting themselves. It's all part of the getting in character. And if you dress professional, you will be professional. If the kids are dressed casual and you're dressed professional, that keeps a distance between you. And I really do feel like as the kids get older, as you get into high school and the teachers are younger because they're just starting out and the dress code is, all higgledy-piggledy, then you start hearing about all these scandals about, what's been happening between teachers and students, and it's like, oh gosh, there was, yeah. And look, it's not anything new. This stuff always happened. It's just, I do feel like keeping that separation definitely helped.
You notice, I think one thing here, I think the teachers also smile. I think it's the one time you see both the teachers and the students smiling at the same time because they're rid of each other for the summer. So,
and this is absolutely grade school, right? I'll be honest with you. Oh my gosh. Do you have any idea what school that is?
No. Do you?
I don't. I don't know for certain. Mm-hmm. But given where the parking lot is, the layout of that, what I can see of the school, this could very easily be the grade school that I went to. This could very easily be St. Louis de Marillac in LaGrange Park, Illinois. Was it LaGrange Park or LaGrange? Whatever, Illinois.
I don't know.
No, they're right next to each other, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it was a Catholic grade school, and if this was my school, you walk straight through that door there, and you'd be in the main office.
Oh, Jesse Grotto says, I think, Troy, from my personal experience from my first through third grade, I only had one day for myself. In the summer, I only had a couple weeks for myself. Well, yeah.
We're going to talk about how you spent your summers, because some of us got summer jobs, which actually,
You could get a job as a kid back then. Maybe
You
can
absolutely
now.
could. They
Might
were
be easier
always
now than it was, but,
part-time.
like, for a while, it was hard for teens.
The idea was to teach you responsibility and make some pocket change.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, every job I had as a kid, I loved. That was part of the great memories for me, to be honest with you.
You know, I should have put that in here, summer jobs, and maybe we'll talk about that at some point. Maybe when we get to the parks and stuff, those were summer jobs, right? So we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But do you have any last school memories, final day of school memories? It's a blur for me. I remember the teachers tended to be better on the last day of school. As long as you're behaved, you might do something fun.
True. Because they were getting ready to check out,
They're
too.
getting ready. Let's play. I think I learned how to play Hangman. I remember that. I learned how to play Hangman on the last day of school.
Oh, that's fair. Netter?
Yeah, that was.
I
that was a
remember
good thing.
blasting Alice Cooper's School's Out.
School is out. Yeah, for the
School's
summer.
out.
We'd
Yeah.
be
Summer.
on the city bus blasting that, and the bus driver would be rolling his eyes like, again? Because
Now,
we were doing
by
it
the
over
way,
and
if
over.
you're a big Alice Cooper fan, one of the most recent waves of Mego figures, they got the license to do an Alice Cooper figure. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, and you know, Mego isn't a terribly expensive figure to get, so you might want to pick that up. Or if you know somebody that is a dear friend of yours that hasn't blocked you on social media, maybe pick one up for him. Just saying. But those hallways, I swear, especially in black and white, every school looked identical.
They
that
did.
could be the high school from Twin Peaks. That could be my high school.
I've heard it said, and I don't know if this is true, that the schools were set up to resemble factories. And with the bells, to get kids used to, you might get a factory job one day, and this is to get them used to working in a factory. How like the drills go off, and there are these long corridors. I don't know how much.
Which
truth there is
seems
to that,
pretty
but,
insidious until you think we've driven all of our factory work out of the country.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird we're still holding on to this. I don't know if schools are like this in other countries. We have anyone from overseas in the
It's
chat.
because it's tradition. We don't remember where it came from. We just keep doing what we always did.
Now, maybe for those of us in the chat from other countries, they may wonder, what is this summer vacation thing, and why do American students get it? Because
Well, I'm not even sure that the history is on point.
I was
for
told
this,
it was because of the farms.
Yeah, but they
Farmers
blame the
summer, the
farmers
kids.
for everything. They blame the farmers for daylight savings time, and the farmers all say that's bullshit.
Yeah, my cow doesn't care what time it is.
Yeah, my cows and chickens can't tell time. You know, the rooster still crows at dawn, regardless of whether that's 4 or 5 in the morning.
I will say this, though, are you less likely to pay attention during the heat? But I live in Florida, and it's kind of hot here a lot.
That's probably the biggest part of it, because I'm old enough to remember a time. It wasn't a time before air conditioning. It did exist, but not all of the schools had air conditioning.
Mine didn't.
No, yeah, I went to a Catholic grade school, and they
I
were
don't know if mine
constantly
did either.
trying to raise money
For air conditioning.
for an air conditioner
Wow.
for the schools.
Now, here's the thing. I don't know if either of you had this, but I went to a couple of schools where, they had the main building for the school, but then on the property they also had like these trailers for other classes. And like in grade school, I was in one of those trailers. So we had air conditioning, we had heat. It was nice. The only bad part is we had to leave there to go to the main building for lunch. So no matter what the weather, we either got soaked, freezing, whatever.
Yeah, you told me about
no.
that. Your school was kind of overpopulated.
They called them mobile units. Well, the
Mobile
high school
units.
next door used to have them for the longest time.
But ironically, despite the fact that we have more kids per capita, the school attendance is going down and down. Gee, I wonder why. But we'll save that for another topic. My first through third, I spent my Sundays going to Sunday school during the school year. My summer vacations were spent in school, either because my grades weren't good or part two. I went to Sunday school for a whole week during the summer. So
I see. So it's like a Like a Bible camp sort of thing, maybe? I know they have those at some churches.
Absolutely. I went to a Catholic grade school, so there was no Sunday school for me because religion class was
right. Because when
daily
you go to a
thing.
Catholic school, you have to. Yeah. Because I had a similar thing. With me, it was I went to public school at least before I went for my confirmation. So I had to go to the class at the church as opposed to having the Catholic school take care of
My
that
mother
portion.
was of the opinion
Yes.
that I would get a better education at a parochial school. Don't know if that's true or not. The public school that we had in Brookfield was actually pretty good.
Here-
Ironically called Gross because the person that it was named after was Gross.
Here's
But,
what I've learned. You have good public schools and bad public schools. You have good private schools and you have bad private schools. It just
Yeah,
depends.
that's true.
That's the thing. Because trust me, I have enough horror stories at the one high school I went to.
I will say that I had a good education. I don't know. I knew kids that went to the public school, but I went to parochial school, Catholic school. Had church every Wednesday. Wednesday was so religion class was the last class of the day, and on Wednesdays we wouldn't have religion class. We would go to mass on Wednesdays, just the way it was.
Interesting.
And we would be released directly from church. What was my point about that? Anyway, it was a good education.
Yeah.
So yes, we did have nuns, and some of them were old school nuns. I remember Sister Crescentine, Sister Julita. Sister Julianne was a sweetheart. She really was. And Sister Bernadette, boy, if she wasn't a nun, she would have been distracting to me. Let me tell you.
Oh.
She was.
Eddie.
She had just taken her vows the year that I started there, but beautiful woman, very young. Sister Crescentine, Sister Julita, they were biker nuns. I'm pretty sure Sister Crescentine had a tattoo on her forearm that said "Born to Raise Lazarus." I still flinch when somebody hands me a ruler. Let me tell you. No, Sister Crescentine. Okay, so I wasn't always bald. As a kid, I had hair, and she'd grab me by the tuft of hair, and tug it to get me to listen. Right? Sometimes she'd grab my ear, but sometimes she'd grab that tuft of hair. It's like
It's weird. I remember back to my religion classes because I went to a Catholic high school for 2 years, and the first one was taught by a nun, Sister Agnes Lucy. The second year actually was not taught by a nun, and the professor and the teacher was a Protestant, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. And I understand why the school did this, because the school said we're mainly doing Old Testament for the religious education classes, and they figure we're going to be having people of different faiths here. We even had some Muslim students in the school, so the idea was you can bring your own holy book into class. So if it was a King James Bible.
Yeah, we didn't have any Muslim,
like
but I'll touch on that in a second.
It was mainly touching on the Old Testament anyway, so yeah.
Well, we our religion classes, and see, there was kind of an expectation in a Catholic school that religion permeated, right? So
right.
you could ask questions at any time, especially with the nuns, right?
Right.
I realized very early on that my education with the nuns was very different than my mom's was with the nuns. She struggled with asking the nuns questions and getting answers like, well, that's just our faith. We just believe it.
Whereas I figured out there's one question you should never ask your religion teacher because for whatever reason it really ticks them off.
Really?
Yeah. If God made us, who made God? I could never get an answer for that. It's like, and they're like, he's always existed. And like, but he had to come from somewhere. Where did he come from? And I could never get an answer. I got detention for that.
That's very funny because I had a nun.
They should have answers for you. And
Sister Julita, my first grade teacher. I was young at the time. First grade teacher. somebody asked that question, not me. I wasn't the smart ass back then. Asked that exact question. If God made us, who made God? She said that God always was. Well, he had to come from somewhere. She didn't respond. She just picked up her chalk, went to the board, drew a circle on the board. And she said, "Where's the beginning of this circle?"
Ah,
Okay.
good answer.
Exactly. She said, God always was. He has no beginning and no end. He is the Alpha and the Omega. And when I heard that, I was pretty impressed. That was my first experience with the idea of nonlinear thought. You know, the abstract, so to speak.
You also had more intelligent teachers than I did, because mine just was like, acting like I committed some cardinal sin and
by asking the question. Yeah.
So I got
No.
detention for it.
I had nuns who
Nothing wrong with asking a question.
I had nuns, if they didn't know the answer, they would say, I don't know the answer to that question. You should ask Father so-and-so. And I would go and ask the priest. And honestly,
You would say, ask the... No, I'm
the
kidding.
priest would always have a decent answer for
Okay,
me.
that's good. That's
I was blown away by this. So, for example, okay, we're getting a little Catholic here on you folks. Like I said, I still have Catholic flashbacks, so I'm sharing my trauma with all of you guys. I asked the priest, you see these icons, right, of the cross, whether it's your rosary or whatever, or even the cross that was hanging up in the front of the church. Christ is hanging on the cross, and above him there is this etching that says INRI. And I asked the priest, what is that? And the priest had this look like, in retrospect, I know what he was thinking. He's like, oh crap. How do I answer this question for a kid to understand?
I know what it means.
I know you do.
Yes.
He said, okay, I'm going to answer your question simply, and then I'm going to explain it to you. He says, you have to understand that this was written in Latin. It wasn't written in English. So those letters aren't the same, okay? He said the Romans had this thing, they confused their I's and their J's. It was a simple way to explain Latin to a child. He said, and it's not the whole word, it's an abbreviation.
Right.
He said, you know what, I'll tell you exactly what it means. And he said it in Latin. I don't remember to this day what it says. Right? He says what it translates to is Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews.
Probably meant as a mocking thing, I would expect.
Well, he didn't go into that aspect
No,
of
I
it.
don't
He
know
literally
exactly
just
why
was
I
answering my
think.
question. And I'll be honest with you, that really resonated with me. It's like, wow, he took the time to answer my question, and he was right. As I got into, high school and college, and I started to learn some Latin, and I started to understand language in general, I was like, yeah, he really answered my question. That's pretty cool,
I know the bad joke version of what it stands for, which I won't say because it's probably blasphemous. So, just move on.
Well, you're half a country away from me. If you get hit by lightning, it doesn't affect me.
Anyway, but I'm just saying. I mean,
he'll be off the
bad,
stream, and we'll just continue on
retrospect,
without
it's
him.
Probably disrespectful. Anyway.
Well, no, because the fact is, I can go through his slides myself. I don't need him.
Go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. We're talking about the bicycle. Move over.
No, wait. As long as we're on this slide, you didn't
You
actually...
like the slide? You like the janitor cleaning up?
I
know
do.
this was last year.
This is, again, this is probably
Anything
grade school,
black and
right?
white looks old, right?
High school, the last day in high school, right? The poor janitors, oh God, I look back and I just feel so bad. I never did this. I honestly didn't. I was a good kid. Your senior class in high school would clean out their lockers by dumping everything all over the floor. All their papers, all their crap that they didn't need, they just throw it all over the floor. It was just tradition. And then the poor janitor had to clean all this shit up. I didn't do any of that.
Right.
And as I was leaving for the day, I saw the janitor starting to clean up, and I'm like, I swear none of this is mine. He goes, it's just what I do every year. And I'm like, maybe, if you could talk them into putting like garbage cans out last day of school, some of us would just throw our stuff away.
Like a big garbage pail, they might.
Yeah. Said it wouldn't necessarily get everybody. He's like, I appreciate the thought. Thanks, kid.
See, now, our school, we had garbage cans around, and there'd be teachers watching clean our lockers. You threw your stuff on the floor, like, pick that up.
We had the same thing, but let me tell you something. I'm really shocked that I never got, again, I'm talking high school here, I never got called on the carpet for what I had hanging up in my locker.
What'd you have hanging up in your locker?
Well, okay, so I went to a Catholic grade school, but I went to a public high school, so I could get away with considerably more.
More in the public high school.
Yeah, I had, inside my locker, I had.
Playboy bunnies?
No, I didn't have anything from Playboy. I wanted to put up a centerfold. My mom said, "Yeah, probably not a great idea." So I had a lot of pictures from the SI swimsuit issue.
Sports Illustrated, right?
Yep, and technically. It's uncouth, but no teacher really said anything about it. Although, among all the bikini models, I had a picture of Pat Nixon. I've always been a conservative.
Funny. Yeah, because she was hot.
No, she was intellectually stimulating.
Well, you can be both.
My high school seminary teacher, on the other hand, was such a strong personality that I don't remember a single thing he taught. He would ramble about all kinds. Yeah, teaching is a skill, right? There's certain teachers that you remember because they really got good messages across. You have other teachers that you just remember for droning. And then,
you got to be careful. Yeah, you got to be careful with teaching and presentations.
And then there was some teachers like the ones I had in high school, like Ms. Dilly and Ms. Pageant, who I don't remember much about their classes. I was a little distracted. Just saying.
For me, oddly enough, it was a semester at community college. We had a very nice looking statistics teacher. She was nice looking. She was married, of course. But anyway,
one of these days, maybe I should do a talk about the deep state and how prior to Nixon, people would get pew-pewed. But then they realized people were starting to catch on, so Nixon got his public persona assassinated instead of his himself personally. Although there's also some speculation about why Ronald Reagan got shot. Yeah,
that's a whole.
That's a whole nother talk. But
that's that show, The Americans, was great. The one about the Russian spies posing as Americans in the 80s. There's a whole episode about when Reagan gets shot, and they're all panicking because they think it was someone on the Soviet side that did it. And they're like in DEFCON 4 because the Russian spies are like that. They're thinking.
Well, that's a great way.
Why didn't they tell us about this? We needed to be warned.
If the deep state wants us to go to war, that's a great way to push us towards it. But I believe it was a deep state thing. They were trying to take him out, and when they failed, they were like, "We won't miss the next time." Never had an opportunity to use a school locker, given the fact that the school I went to was permanently locked. They permanently lock the lockers in every building due to bad kids doing stupid things. They
stuffed some kid in a locker and he died or something. That's what I'm thinking.
No, see, our lockers weren't big enough to squeeze somebody into because they were like double-decker type deals.
Yeah, I can get into one of those lockers.
Well, yes, you could. Little people could, but no, I absolutely couldn't. And believe me, I tried. Just for fun, but I couldn't get into the locker. But we only had 15 minutes to get from class to class, and if you had a class across campus, You did not have a lot of time to get to your locker.
That would
get to the next
happen.
class.
No, that would happen. You'd have a class on the upside of the building. You got a book. In fact, I would sometimes have to figure out which books I had to put in my book.
It was
bag
strategy.
in the
Yeah,
locker.
sometimes you would have to choose
you'd be late for class.
Classes
They
for
don't
2
care.
and 3 classes. You'd hit those classes. Now I can hit my locker, dump these, and grab what I need for the afternoon or whatever. Yeah,
I'm going to have a nightmare about this tonight. Thank you for getting these memories.
But anyway, so this picture here, it just makes me think of
That janitor.
So in grade school, though, let me tell you something. The janitor, it was Mr. McLean at our school. He was he was first generation Irish. Very almost stereotypical, right? He was the janitor. He was a deacon in the church. And he was the PE teacher. So he's the one who taught us calisthenics.
Really? So he's also the PE teacher. That's interesting.
So
Yeah.
and you know what, his primary, the warm-up, I didn't realize it was a warm-up. I thought this was fucking torture. But every class he had a record player, and he would play Robert Preston's Chicken Fat. Look it up on YouTube. It's music to do calisthenics to. Commissioned by the Department of Education. Robert Preston was Sir Torin knows who Robert Preston was. A lot of you guys that know your theater know who Robert Preston was. He was the Music Man, and yes, and oh fuck, I remember the calisthenics, and they hurt bad. And then when that was over, he made us do the Dead Cockroach. The Dead Cockroach was the 1970s version of planks, if you know what planks are.
No.
It was just reversed. You'd lie on your back with your arms and legs up in the air, like a dead cockroach, right? Sounds easy, right? Try it sometime. Your arms and legs start to hurt bad, very quickly. Let me tell you. And if you weren't keeping them straight and rigid, he would come around and lean on you. And you had to hold him up. I don't know for sure, but I suspect he was probably in the military. But you know what was even worse? I dated his daughter.
Oh.
My first girlfriend was Kathy McLean. And yeah, it was. You want to know basically what she looked like? Melissa Gilbert. Think Melissa Gilbert. Okay, she resembled a great deal. Went to a lot of sock hops with her. I know, sock hops, you tend to think 50s, right? But there was this whole retro thing that we were doing, and every year in our grade school, we had these sock hops. You weren't supposed to date, but we did, and I went and picked her up at her house, and Mr. McLean would be like, "Oh, you're taking my daughter out?" I'm like, "Yes, sir. Tell me what time you want her home. Trust me, above board." I was the kind of guy that the parents always loved.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the girls didn't care for it because I wasn't the bad boy.
You didn't have the motorcycle or the leather jacket.
Right.
I had no interest in you being a bad boy.
That's because we met when we had both grown up. I'm talking about these kids.
No. I saw you in geek attire, and you were gorgeous.
That's sweet of you to say. I just think you had bad eyesight, and you've never gotten your eyesight back, and I'm glad. And you're still alive. Yes, exactly.
Or was Eddie
See, that was the thing. Mr. McLean really liked me, and it was partly because I told him I was half Irish. I've told you guys, right? My dad was Irish, my mom was Italian.
Right.
Don't know if I was really Irish. It was really redneck. But I said my dad's Irish. He's like, "Oh, okay. Well,
sometimes it's the same thing." No, I'm kidding. Actually,
and I told him when I went to pick her up for the first sock hop, I sat and talked with him. It was the first time I'd really had a lot of time to talk to him, And I said, my dad says he's Irish, but he's a couple generations removed. I said, I've lost all the culture. And he was just glad to talk about Irish culture and this and that.
Now, Boomer, you know what? I'd be Irish.
He did. He had a very slight Irish accent.
I was thinking of other heritage I have, which some might have labeled as that, but it's.
We haven't even gotten to the summer vacation part, but let me tell you something. I had such a crush on Kathleen. Her name was Kathleen.
Okay.
During the summer vacation, I used to call her on a weekly basis, and she was never home. But, that's one of my summer memories.
I did have a point, though, to take off what they were saying about the hillbilly. I think we all have a little bit of hillbilly in all of us, or redneck or whatever. And I think maybe that's what the whole draw, things like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the evil hillbilly, because you're thinking, oh, we're not that, but maybe deep down.
The whole Appalachian culture and stuff.
There's a bit of that. The Appalachians, I have to tell you something. I'll never pick on the Appalachian people. The Scottish.
Those people don't need fucking society to survive.
Not only that, but a lot of our colloquialisms that are very American, like needle in a haystack, things like that.
Sure.
You look like something that the cat drug in and the dog wouldn't eat. You know, that's all from the Appalachian. That's all.
Troy was Eddie Haskell. I was pretty genuine though. I wasn't faking it. I think that Mr. McLean would have been able to see through me if I was. Welcome, Sashi. Welcome. Yeah,
welcome,
it's
Sashi.
always summer down here. Yeah. You live a little closer in the middle of the earth, don't you? Where it's warmer all the time.
Of course. Well, like I said, it exists everywhere. I'm just saying. But anyway.
Even we Mexicans have rednecks. Look, we're not allowed to talk about these cultural things, but if we're honest with ourselves,
it's the last thing, and we want to say I'm not part of that.
There is,
I'm better than that. That's what it is.
We do these kind of insensitive generalizations, but if we're really honest with ourselves, those exist for a reason. You look at Speedy Gonzalez, right? Epa, Andre. But he had a cousin, right? Named Slowpoke Rodriguez. And, it was funny and whatnot. And yeah, you could definitely draw some within Mexican culture, cultural divides, right?
Yeah, they're everywhere in every group.
Italians have the same thing. Boy, let me tell you something. You any Italians in the chat here? Tell me you're Sicilian and claim to be Italian.
Oh yeah.
We'll get into it. Let me tell you.
They would bring that up on The Sopranos sometimes. The class.
My mom does that to this day. Oh, I'm Italian. I'm Sicilian, and my mom will go, "Oh, I'm sorry." With people she's dear friends with, she'll fuck with them that way. Absolutely.
All right. So now it's time to talk about summer. Did you have a bicycle, Troy? Were you lucky enough as a kid to have a bicycle?
Yep, I had a bike very similar to this.
Banana seat?
It had we installed a banana seat very quickly because the other one was very, very uncomfortable. And it wasn't exactly like these.
Yeah, those are big-looking seats. The banana seats that all the other kids had that I didn't have were much more streamlined and a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, that's the kind that I had. That was an aftermodel add-on. Mine also came with training wheels, so I didn't have a kickstand. So we had to add the kickstand when I removed the training wheels.
I remember those.
And my bike, okay, I don't know how many people in the chat would know the difference. There was a difference between boys' bikes and girls' bikes. Do you know the difference?
I do.
It's been a long time, but I did remember there
was
a difference.
Look at the blue bike at the front of this picture, right? It's got these bars. It's got 3 bars, right? It's got that top bar, it's got that middle bar, and then it's got this low slung bar. Girls' bikes didn't have those upper bars. It only had the low slung. This is a carryover from the Victorian, Civil War era when girls wore skirts, right? So on horses, the girls rode side saddle. On bikes, they had that cutout, right? This scoop so that they could get their skirts in to ride the bike. My bike was basically a girl's bike with this add-on bar to say, this is really a boy's bike, even though it had no structural support whatsoever. And everyone would look at it and go, you really have a girl's bike.
Okay, so you had a bike with training wheels and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to ride on a 3-speed.
Oh, see, yeah, I didn't get
And it was a boy's 3-speed because it was my brother's hand-me-down.
My bike didn't even have. Okay, so you see on the handlebars, you've got these squeezy brakes, right? I didn't have that. I had a single speed, and the way you would brake was you're pedaling, right? You're pedaling, and then you'd reverse.
Yeah, that's how I did it.
Yeah, see, you had one of those.
Oh, but do they have speeds? You mean the handlebars that have the grips on them? Was that also a brake?
I didn't have that on my original bike.
I think I had both. I think my first bike didn't have that and I had to do the reverse. All right, so let me tell you my little story of having to learn how to ride a bike. I had this thing called a tricycle once, right?
Okay, yeah.
I loved the tricycle as a kid. Had 3 wheels.
Sure, I had one of those too.
Loved it. No, you're getting too old for the tricycle. You got to ride a bike. So I think mine even had like training wheels on it, like yours did. And then eventually the training wheels have to come off. And I think my dad was behind me, and of course, what he would do is he would hold on to the back of the banana seat or whatever with his hand. Right? I was pedaling, and then I was pedaling, and then I'm pedaling, and then I'm pedaling, and then I hear from the background, "You're doing great. Turn around." My dad's not holding the banana seat, and I, of course, fall right over and crash. This never works, and I know I'm not the only one with this story.
No, you are telling the exact same story I could have told.
100 other kids or thousands, maybe millions of kids have. Listen to me. This doesn't work. I know it's to build confidence. I think they're thinking it's going to be like the birdie trying to fly, like, oh, I'm flying, or no, that doesn't happen. You turn around and you see no one's holding you. I think I eventually picked myself up. And I'm
kind of getting ahead of our story with the summer thing. So yeah, my uncle taught me how to ride a bike, right? Exactly the way you described.
Yep.
Take his story, substitute me and my uncle, it was the same story.
Yeah.
Falling over the whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. When I got a little bit older, I was spending my summers in Mansfield, Ohio. That uncle that taught me how to ride a bike co-owned a marina. And I used to go out there, spend the summers with him. I'd work at the marina. Great memories. Maybe I'll tell it in the back half of the stream. But when he got married, he married a gal who already had a son. She'd been married previously. His name was Nathan, and I was just at the right age. I was, in my teen years and hanging out with him a lot, kind of being like a big brother type of thing. My uncle's working, and I said, I will help him learn to ride a bike. I didn't say I'd teach him to ride a bike. I said I'd help him. And I did something very, very different. I said, okay, Nathan, he had the training wheels. No. I take that back. He did not have training wheels.
Right.
My uncle wanted him to learn without the training wheels. I said, I want you, and I would hold the bike from the front. He wasn't even moving. And I'm like, I want you to try to practice balancing, right? And he'd try to, and I'd let go, and then I'd catch him. And I'd let go, and I'd catch him. And he's like, I'm never going to be able to do this. I said, don't worry. I said, I know it feels like you're going to fall over because you're not moving. But once you start moving, the bike kind of wants to stay up on its own, okay? And I'll run around a few times with you. And then when you know that you're feeling good about it, I'm going to let go, and I'm going to tell you I'm letting go. Dude, let me tell you, this method that we came up with, I had him riding a bike by the end of that summer.
Huh.
You know, he's like, yes, you're absolutely right. When we're moving, it's a lot easier. And then I said, okay, I can't keep up with you. You're going too fast. I'm going to let you go. If you feel like you're going to fall, go ahead and brake and then catch yourself. Because I had him doing that. From the still position, I'd say, okay, now just catch yourself. Now just catch yourself. I said, now what you're going to do is brake and catch yourself. And he did. And he's like, I did it. And he knew how to ride a bike from there on.
So that's the Pacelli method.
Well, it became my method. Yeah. I don't even know if he even remembers that, but you know.
Someone in the chat mentioned fall. It's worse to fall over the handlebars. Guess how high? Guess
dude, my second bike was a 12-speed, and I used to ride it to school every day, and and it was a little bit big for me because my mom's idea was you'll grow into it. She wanted to buy. She didn't want to spend more money on more bikes, right? So it was a little bit big for me. And I was riding the bike to a friend's house. It was after school. And I was clipping along at a pretty good speed, and a car honked behind me, and I looked back to see what was going on. And when I turned back to see where I was going, I was coming up on one of those big boulders that they have that they have at the edge of the sidewalk where to keep, and I hit it full on, went over my handlebars, landed on the pavement, bent the front fork back, so I couldn't and I had to walk my bike to my buddy's house. My knee was bleeding. It was a mess. Yeah.
This is why the kids started wearing helmets, I guess, later on, right? that was a thing.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I didn't hit my head, but boy, I learned a lesson.
I think I was just old enough that they weren't forcing the helmet thing on when I was riding my bike. Of course, I kind of got out of it because I was never big on bike riding, but you did it because the other kids were doing it. I think when I got I had more of a stunt bike that was like a birthday present one year, but
sure.
It was annoying because, for starters, I lived in a suburban area, but it was very city-like. So you couldn't just ride through the streets because you're going to get hit by a car. In fact, I witnessed that happening once. A neighbor of mine and myself were sitting up in the tree on my property looking off, and like the neighbor was driving, and then a guy, of course, rode across the sidewalk. Now, granted, it was probably her fault because she should have been paying attention, looking, but it hit him dead on. He bounced right off over the roof of her car.
Yeah. Let me tell you,
he survived, I think, but it was just it was.
When I got that 12-speed when I went into high school, I'll tell you something. I would take that bike early in the morning. I would fill a backpack with whatever I felt I needed and a snack or whatever,
or a sandwich or something,
and I was gone for the day. And I would ride. I would ride the bike paths, and I'd go visit my friends, get to their house. They didn't know I was going to come by and knock. Hey, is Michael home? No? Okay, I'm going over to David's house. And yeah. And sometimes, I'm going to David's, let him know that's where I'll be, if we want to get together. And, that's how we'd hook up or not, whatever. And I wouldn't come back until the sun was going down. The lights come on, you need to be home.
There's a funny early Peanuts comic strip with Charlie Brown going by, and this is before the usual Peanuts group. It was Charlie Brown going by to some girl's house. It's like, is Rachel home or something, he says, and then Rachel pops through the window and says, Rachel's not home. Or we don't have to be all loud about it. And he leaves like, not understanding, no, that's Rachel who told you she's not here. It's like, it was, never mind. I guess it's not as funny when I repeat.
Wow, yeah, I never got hit by a car. I was pretty careful.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, the bike was the and I'll tell you, when Return of the Jedi came out, I used to imagine my bike was one of those speeder bikes from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I think I might have done the same thing. Yeah.
And I'd start thinking about how could I put bars on the front with fins, and I was already thinking through making props and stuff like that.
I don't know if I thought of it as a speeder bike, but that would have been neat actually. I forgot if I thought of it as anything. I don't think I did. I think I just saw it as a bike.
Well, it was.
I didn't even have the ET fantasy of flying. That didn't even occur when I was.
Let me tell you, it was freedom, right? It was your vehicle, and you could go anywhere. Look, it wasn't just in my town. I would ride in from. I lived in Brookfield. I went to school every morning on that bike in LaGrange. I'd go to Hillside. I'd visit friends all around the place. Yeah, Westchester.
What do I remember though? I remember though they used to have. This was early on. I think they have them now, like miniature cars that were like had an actual motor in them and stuff, and you could drive them around as a kid. And I always wanted those. I ain't getting one of those. Too expensive. Come on.
Yeah.
I always fantasized about having one of those a car an actual kid could sit in and drive around in.
Sure.
Like what's his name? Ricky Schroeder on Silver Spoons would have had something like that,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, anything left on bikes?
No.
The water pistol.
I remember I had one of these. I tried
finding ones from the 70s or at least the 80s.
That's spot on what I had as a kid. These were before you had those super soakers. These were the basic water guns.
At the tail end of my childhood, we did get the super soakers. I remember
the easiest way to fill those was, so that little plug in the back, you'd pull it out. You dunked the whole thing into a pail of water. It would fill up, and then you'd close that valve on the back.
Yep.
And honestly, the trigger mechanism was no different than the squidgy on a spray bottle. It worked the same way. You could even see the mechanism inside. Where it would.
These are cheap too. You get them for a couple of bucks, right?
Yeah. You get them at the nickel dime store. Yeah.
On vacation, you'd be on vacation and you go into the tourist trap store and you're like, I forgot to bring a water gun. Look, there's one. I'll bring it. Buy it there.
And honestly, you didn't get very wet from these things. It was just a little. So the way you played with these, the rules that we had, the cops and robbers, cowboys, Indians, whatever it was, is if you feel water, you've been shot. And if you get shot in the arm or the leg, you can't use that arm or leg. If you get shot center mass, you go down. That was the rules.
Oh, I don't know if you ever played Fort as a kid. I only got a couple chances to play, but I love playing Fort, where you'd pretend like you were at a
and
barracks,
you'd invade the other person's fort and stuff.
And you have the water guns or cap guns at another time of the year. I used to love that. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But I'll tell you, it got to the point where some summers were so hot. It's like, just shoot me. I want to get wet.
Yeah. It got really hot out. I have to tell you, I had a water gun, though. And this, I think I got this, I don't know if it was a Christmas or a birthday present. This thing was lovely.
Yep.
It looked like an automatic machine gun. It had, you would fill up the, what's the holster? The thing that you put the guns in. The bullets in.
Oh, the magazine?
You fill a fake magazine up with water, you plug it in, and it was battery operated. And it was
I had one of those too. It was like a 45.
Yeah. Like a machine gun, mine. Yeah, and that was cool. And I don't think I got too much use out of it, but that was this was before the Super Soaker came around. They had
it was. I had one of those too.
Water gun. That's what it was. It was an automatic water gun. But I was very impressed with that. I think I didn't abuse it though, because I think the other kids would have started to want to beat me up too much, But
well, I played with it so much the batteries would die.
You're at an advantage.
You're at an advantage till those batteries die. Then you're fucked.
Yeah, and they wouldn't last forever. You're right. But it was that was neat. They couldn't make something like that now. This was colored black. It looks like a miniature machine gun, so they wouldn't.
It does. Yeah. I remember those.
Oh man, water guns though, and yeah, Super Soakers came later. I want to say I did have a Super Soaker at one point. All sorts of things.
I didn't have a Super Soaker until my brother got one, and by that time I was a little old for.
That's sort of where I was. I'm a bit younger than you, so I think I got like one summer.
And it really was the kind of thing where we had one, and my mom would be like, "Fill it up, we need to cool off," and I'd shoot her, and then she'd shoot me,
Yeah, Geek Flag. I think I had the Uzi. I think that's the one I had. Yeah.
No, mine was a handgun 45.
Yeah, I had the one that looked like an Uzi because I always thought machine guns were cool too as a kid, but. I had cap guns too, but I played with those all year round. But water guns were for the summer. You don't want to play with those in the winter. Don't be that guy. Right. That might be interesting, but that might be. It made it grinding though. It's supposed to be a machine gun fire. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was kind of a zzz.
He used to put ice in my water gun, so that's interesting. It would make the water cooler, I guess, and they would melt as you had it.
Right.
Interesting. But and of course,
oh gosh, yes, the playgrounds, absolutely.
Yes.
The idea with these was okay. So this was like a merry-go-round type thing, and it really required. You could play with this by yourself, right?
You could spin it though. And
hold on, and you'd run, and then you'd jump on it. Wasn't really as good. You wanted a couple people on it and one guy that would spin it as fast as he friggin' could.
What else was in the parks?
Did you ever fly off of one of these things?
I might have. It's been a while. I tried to find out. Apparently, this is some state is trying to recreate 70s style parks. So this is a fairly recent picture, but this is what they look like back then.
It's hard to do now because unfortunately they got all these laws and rules.
Of course, everything that's dangerous.
It's like, screw it. Just keep the kid in the house wrapped in bubble wrap and let him play with computers.
On his iPad, and so he'll become some antisocial person later on. But I remember swing sets. I love swing sets.
Yeah.
And you've helped if you had a friend pushing you.
Absolutely.
And I always tried. I always wanted to, and I don't know if this ever happened, but I always wanted it so like I would go around all the way around while on the swing. I don't know if I ever quite made it. I would get pretty high.
No, you can't. Yeah,
I don't know. I want to say I did, but I probably couldn't.
Physics say you can't, but every kid tried. Let me tell you, there was this park in Brookfield that I used to go to all the time. I loved that park. I really, really did. And I do remember, I was really young at the time. I was like 8 years old or something. I had this terry cloth Snoopy that I carried with me everywhere. I took it to the park. I forgot it on the swing. And I got halfway home and I started crying because I realized I'd forgotten it. We had to go back. And sure enough, it was just sitting there right at the park.
That's nice.
Because it was late. It was in the evening. Everyone had already gone home. I'm like, I kind of freaked out. But I remember that. And then when I got a little older, there was another park at the corner of Beach and Oak. It was Beach Oak Park. And I'd go there. I was a little older, so it wasn't so much about the merry-go-round, the jungle gym and whatnot. I was starting to get nostalgic, So if there was a day I was kind of on my own, I would just ride to that park, maybe climb to the top of the jungle gym and just sit on top and watch the sun go down or whatever, and it was just whatever, Remember the playground that was next door to a power plant where my dad would work. Let me tell you, there was a lot of playgrounds that were literally right next to the electrical substations for whatever reason, and you could hear them zzz, and you knew you couldn't get too close, or chances are you get zapped.
I heard there's still an intact one near Chernobyl. I'm sorry. I'm not lying either. I think there is one.
No, that is true.
Not that far from
that
the
is
building.
true.
Yes. But or maybe it was a mini amusement park. I don't know. I think they might have had a Ferris wheel or something.
Well, if you can look online, they have footage from the no-go zone in Chernobyl, and it's just creepy. It's like something out of a video game, a post-apocalyptic video game.
For a while, it was like a time capsule. Now it's like a post-apocalyptic.
You remember those slides you used to, when you got older? You wouldn't climb up and slide down. You'd try, going up the slide part.
Of course. But those slides would get hot in the summer if they were metal.
Yes, they would. If you were wearing shorts, they'd burn the bottoms of your legs. Yeah.
Oh, I remember those.
Or
just
you'd
torture.
get stuck and you'd be squeaking trying to go down.
It would hurt. Yeah.
See, now that memory serves, I think I prefer the park in the fall and in the spring.
I agree with you.
Metal, I don't know if
I agree with you.
In the stark summer here, but maybe they'll bring some. Maybe they'll bring your kid to a park, huh? Might
Absolutely
have fun, see some other kids, make a friend. Come on, it's good. Get them off the iPad, or whatever else you kids are using.
Whatever the electronic doodah is, get them off.
I'm saying this. Of course, Troy and I grew up with electronic doodads too, but I don't think they had quite taken over.
They did not hold your attention, though, right? So the handheld electronic games you had, they were great for about 15 minutes, and you were done.
Even computer games, maybe an hour at best, and then I would quit for the time. Even if it was like a narrative game, I might play for an hour and then save it. Okay, I'll come back to this later. I wouldn't be on it for like hours, but I never had one of these or a clubhouse. Did you?
Did not
Did you have a clubhouse?
But I had, kind of. Okay. I had. I guess you could call it.
You always heard about the kids with the tree house. It's like I want.
We didn't have a tree house because we didn't really have the kind of trees that would be conducive. But in my backyard, we had a little clapboard type, clubhouse. It was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to have my friends over and we'd play out there, and because it was in your backyard and not out in the woods or anything, you couldn't really like play war or anything like that. So we actually would play Dungeons and Dragons out there. We'd bring our books out there, and
it's just
Mom
cool.
would bring us some snacks and whatnot.
You got your own space. There'd always be like the "No Girls Allowed" sign, and then like you'd see some girls protesting. And I'm just kidding. I was
just gonna say I never did that. I'm like, man, if we can get some girls in here, that would be awesome.
The playground was a part of the power company picnic grounds. Okay, that's interesting.
I
always wanted to play house. A lot of us did. I want to say we had some kind of a makeshift clubhouse in our backyard, but I think by the time I was old enough where I could start using it, we didn't have it anymore. Maybe it got taken down. But
I had a buddy who had in his front yard, he had this big pine tree, and if you know how pine trees grow, the inside is like all dead needles, and you could go in and you could hollow that all out. And we kind of used it like it was a clubhouse, but it really was just the inside of the pine tree.
Did you ever try building forts in the wintertime? I know we're talking summer vacation, but you could do it out of snow.
I did. I had there was this this brick making form that we would get. You'd plunge it into the snow, and you'd pull out, it would be full of snow.
Cow.
And then you could make a brick out of it, and we'd make like, walls and igloos and things like that out of it.
I didn't have anything like that. That would have been awesome. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we could have just piled the snow and it would have worked just as well.
Well, that's what I did, yeah. But I
didn't
do it that way.
And the winter of '79, you didn't even have to build anything. You just had to dig into the snow drift. And yes, I do know that a lot of kids did that, and then it would collapse on them, and it was very, very dangerous. But what we did was we dug it out, and then we would run a hose into the house, and then we'd spray it all down, and it would freeze.
That's what you needed to do. You needed water to get that.
And there was no way that was going to collapse on you. That was solid.
I have to say, did you ever make a fort inside your own house? Like bed sheets or
like
things,
like on the weekend when we were gonna watch Svengoolie or whatever, we'd do like a bunch of pillows and blankets and stuff to make a little fort to watch the movie, and we'd do that too.
Okay, cool. So neither you or myself. How about Netter? Did you have a tree house?
No, I always wanted one though, and my
every
dad
kid's
had
dream.
gotten a bunch of wood to make a like a little cottage, or you want to call it,
Okay, like a
in the
clubhouse.
backyard.
Okay,
but he never got around to making it. We just had all this wood, and he never did it.
Ugh.
So it's like, never got my little house, and we didn't have any trees in our yard, so...
Yeah, you guys got to remember, I was enjoying Svengoolie before most of y'all, because Svengoolie was a local guy.
Plus, you had the original probably, and then you had Son of Svengoolie.
Yes, way back in the early 70s, it was the original Svengoolie. Then he moved out to California, and Rich Coase took over as the son of Svengoolie for many years. And it was Jerry G. Bishop, who I did not even realize. So here's the interesting thing: Jerry G. Bishop, right? He was the son of Svengoolie. He also owned a magic shop in Riverside that I used to go to all the time. And he had a great shtick. He would show the kids a magic trick, and if you wanted to learn how to do the magic trick, you had to buy the trick, and then he'd show you how it was done. And I bought a bunch of magic tricks off of him. So there's a lot of magic tricks I know how to do just because I literally learned magic from Jerry G. Bishop. Huh. Well, what I didn't know was he was also Svengoolie. When he would run this shop, and then he would go and film the show, and then he'd come back and do. I had no idea they were the same guy. And then when the shop closed up and he moved out of town, and then I saw the Son of Svengoolie, and they had the whole in universe story about it. I'm like, so what happened to the original Svengoolie? Oh, Jerry G. Bishop moved to California. I'm like, wait, that's the same guy.
It's funny.
So, yeah, it was funny. So I really knew the original Svengoolie and didn't know it, right? So then Svengoolie he's been a local personality for so long, and then MeWe became Then MeTV became a thing, and then it went national. So all you guys get to enjoy Svengoolie now, but I've been enjoying him since the 70s. Yeah.
Just want to let Jesse Gardo know we are going to get to a jellyfish story later. Don't worry.
Oh, we're going to talk jellyfish. Oh, okay.
We are. He just mentioned he got stung by a jellyfish. Yeah,
don't pee on it. It doesn't really work.
I would have. I don't care at that point. I would have said pee.
Yeah, you do anything, right? You cut the fucking leg off. Right?
Actually, that's where we get next. But I just want to say something though. I remember in the summer though, before we get to the beach. Summer showers, and I remember, I don't know what it was, my memory always has them happening at night, or like when it's getting dusk and then you get storm clouds overhead. I remember trying to rush to get home because I knew the rain and it was going to be a bad one. Then you're in the house, and that's when the thunder and lightning are hitting and everything, and then you watch TV or like Svengoolie.
My favorite was so I had mentioned about going to my uncle's marina and working there, and let me tell you, if it was raining, well, look, if you're at a marina and it starts raining, business kind of shuts down. The boats aren't going out, nobody's fishing, nobody's going swimming, none of that stuff. So there's really nothing to do, and you would just sit there and watch the rain. And let me tell you something, it was pretty damn awesome, because you got these like 100-degree days, and then it starts raining, and you're feeling, because you're at the marina that I was at, there was this big overhang, right? So I'm sitting, against the wall, and like 6 feet away, the rain is coming down, hitting the ground, and you feel this mist of the rain hitting your face, and it's like, this is the best thing in the world,
All right. Trying to figure out who my local horror host was in the New York, New Jersey area. He was dressed like a mad scientist, or like a mad doctor, I should say, because he had like a doctor's outfit on, like with the stethoscope and everything. But I remember that, and I think he had an assistant, like an Igor type, with him too. But all right, here we go. Time to talk about the beach.
Life's a beach.
For you: did you go to the beach during the summer, or did Chicago not allow that? The Chicago area.
Because I didn't live in Chicago proper, I lived in the suburbs, so we weren't really that close to the lake. So we didn't really get out to those beaches. The beaches that I got to visit were the ones on the lake. What is it? Charles Mill Lake in Mansfield, Ohio. A little man-made lake. It had a couple beaches, so I got to enjoy those. Those were fun enough. But in the suburbs, there was a municipal pool that in high school, I worked at the concession stand there when I was in high school.
Cool.
What
do they sell there? Hot dogs?
Hot dogs, pizza,
Pretzels.
nachos, that kind of pretzels, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, and I was working the whole time, and let me tell you something. You get to see the girls in the bikinis coming up to get the food. Man, it was the best thing ever. And you're in air conditioning, and you're in the shade and everything.
I have a question. Is that like the high school equivalent of being a bartender? Dating gurus always said you want.
I suppose you're right. It absolutely was. Yeah.
I remember dating gurus used to say you want a job that helps you pick up women. Either become a DJ or a bartender. Okay, the job will do it.
Kind of was. I never really thought about that. You're absolutely right. But so my dad. I've mentioned this before. My dad was a barber in Westchester. The same. What do you call it? Not strip mall, but I guess if you think strip mall, it's basically the same idea. The same complex. A few doors down had a hot dog stand there, and the guy Tony that used to run it, in the summertime, he would also run the snack bar at the pool. And he's like, "Hey, you want a job?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah," and I had no idea. Like, wow, this is a good job. Let me tell you something. This is pretty damn awesome. So yeah, it was probably one of the best jobs I could get when I was like a freshman in high school. It was awesome.
No, definitely. I mean, heck, that's you get some spending money. You get to you get to make you probably get to socialize too. Right?
I got to socialize. Let me tell you, it was awesome. It was like a lot of those those teen films from the 80s,
like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and things like that.
Kinda, maybe not that crazy, but yeah.
But it was the mall.
Basic
mall
ideas,
job.
yeah.
And then get a job at the burger place.
So this is obvious. I can't imagine this is a lake beach. This has got to be.
No,
like
this has
got to be on
now,
the coast.
I guess I should specifically pick the Jersey Shore because, of course, that's where I went to.
Probably.
And of course, later on, summers in Florida would go.
I had one summer in California, so I got to see San Francisco Bay and all that kind of stuff. And I had at least a couple summers in Florida, so I got to see Pebble Beach, and
nice beaches in Florida.
Yeah, and there was a couple beaches that I got to hang out with.
Except when the red tide hits, then it's nasty.
Oh yeah, I never experienced that.
Okay.
I was in.
With you.
I can't remember what year. If you guys could probably look it up and find out for me, there was a launch from Florida. An Apollo mission where the astronauts were hooking up with the Soyuz, the Americans and the Russians. I can't remember which Apollo mission that was, but when that launched, I was there for that launch.
You can collect seashells by the Sally.
I absolutely did that.
Sally something she sells by the
She sells seashells by the seashore.
By the seashore. Yes. Yep. Okay. I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I don't like the beach.
Really?
I went to it a number of times as a kid, and of course, when you're a kid, you build things up in your head because everything's new. Now that I'm older,
sure.
I hate the beach.
It's hot. It's messy.
Well, for starters, I'm pale as all get out because
I was gonna say you burn easy. Yeah,
you're burn easy. And now I don't burn. I don't burn horribly as long as I don't stay out. And if I stay out in the sun long, I got to put sunscreen on. If I'm not out long, I can walk around. But if I'm going to be out for a long time, I better put sunscreen on. But no, you get burned. But that's not even the worst of it. Sometimes the sand will be hot. You collect seashells. But of course, there are things. There are things.
Yes, there are.
In the ocean. This is not a pool. Nope. Pools are nice. You got the chlorinated water that kills everything. I don't care.
It burns your eyes. Yeah.
I don't give a crap. Wear goggles. You're supposed to wear goggles. Wear goggles. Wear a thing for your hair if you want. That's fine. I don't care.
Actually, yeah. Talk about your hair. It used to bleach your hair. My hair would 3 shades lighter in the summertime because of the chlorine in the pools.
Could also be the sun hitting.
And the sun, yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, here we have a jellyfish. Now, this is what they look like when they end up on the beach, I suppose. And
yeah.
Oh, don't step on the jellyfish. And as a kid, you're always curious. But I took the advice and stayed away.
Right.
And then one day I'm in the water, not even deep out, and I get hit by something fierce. And I come back, and it is horrible pain. And I got hit part way, like I think around my gut, part way, and it stunned like all get out. Awful. A couple years later, I'm out in the ocean again. This might have been the last time I went out in the ocean. I don't remember if I've been out there since then. I don't know. And I got it right across the chest.
Oh
no!
Oh.
And that was painful.
I would imagine.
And
yeah.
that was just get me back to the place we're staying.
There's nothing you could do. They have these little needles that go into you.
No, my mom put some cream on it, and it made it a little better. Yeah, so that was better. Maybe that's what they mean by peeing. Maybe you do something to dilute whatever you got hit with. I don't know, and it got better. Jellyfish are nothing to mess with. There's a jellyfish I think near Australia that is so awful. When you get stung by it, you'll wish someone would kill you. That's how bad.
Oh, the Man of War, I think it's
maybe
called.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Avoiding jellyfish. SpongeBob is seriously disappointed. I didn't watch SpongeBob. Maybe I should. Maybe that's my show I should watch. You know how we're all watching old stuff now? Maybe I need to catch up on my SpongeBob.
Maybe.
Avoiding jellyfish, though. Listen to me, jellyfish. No. There are horrible things in the ocean. Of course, sharks as well. Jellyfish got me on my back, and you did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. I wasn't being reckless in the water. It just happened. Because these things float around and they hit you. Just horrible. The closest I want to be to a jellyfish is in an aquarium. I'll put it to you that way.
Agreed.
That's called that called the box jellyfish. I don't know, maybe the one on the screen here. Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I mean, to be fair though, despite this, I still reminisce about the beach. It wasn't all bad. I mean, there were neat things you could do in the beach area. You might go to a restaurant at the end of the day or get a snack at the beach at one of the stands, and there were other things like you might see a crab.
Sure. Let me tell you something. I remember when I visited California, I went to Fisherman's Wharf. They had the best damn food there. That was great stuff.
Where?
Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco.
Oh, that sounds lovely, actually.
Oh, yeah. You'd get, you can eat crab and lobster, and oh my gosh, it was good stuff.
My favorite thing, if I can get them, if they're good, is scallops. That's my favorite seafood.
I'd go crazy on the scallops.
You want to get the big ones? Actually, there's a pretty good place in the Fisherman's Wharf around my area that it wasn't horribly expensive last month. Of course, with inflation, I don't know where they're at now, but their scallops were actually reasonable and they were very good. So I might. There
was a place they had really good hush puppies.
I love hush puppies.
My mom and I went crazy on them until we realized, all it is fried cornbread. No, we can make those fuckers ourselves.
You can buy mix at the store and make them yourself.
Yeah.
Here's where I think the hush puppy came from, and I think it's in the name. I think the idea was you're frying some fish and the dog is next to you saying ruff, and you're not going to give the dog your fish because that's your protein. But to shut the dog up, I think you would fry some of the cornmeal and throw it at the dog, and the dog would eat it. And I think that's where the term hush puppy came
Hush puppy, that kind of makes sense. Actually,
wrong. I could be completely wrong, but I think I heard that somewhere.
And it's not terrible for the dog because it's the fat's going to satiate him.
Yeah. Here we go. Sandcastle building. This is always a thing. Again, though, my parents are always like, they never wanted to live anywhere that didn't have ocean near it or be near the thing. And I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I can be inland. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. I love seafood and sea life is fascinating, but, I went deep sea fishing a couple times, and if you think I wasn't hurling, you're wrong. Over the side. I did catch 30 mackerel one sea fishing trip.
I pretty well had my sea legs because, like I said, spending those summers at the marina, I was on boats all the time. So
yeah. I actually learned how to clean a fish one
Me
summer.
too,
That was
yeah.
interesting. You had to get the guts out of it, which I guess would be caviar. Oh no, if it was a female fish, you had to get the eggs out of it, which I guess is
Caviar.
caviar.
Right,
in
right,
some
right, right.
cultures, yeah. But here you could build a sandcastle. Those were always kind of fun. I would try to do those. You'd have to use buckets. The old-fashioned method was to get the
Yep.
upside-down bucket, pack the sand in,
Yep,
and then
yep.
turn it out, get it wet. Kind of like it's kind of like, you know what? I'm now thinking we're going
Kind of
back
like
to
the snow,
thing.
yeah.
And then you would kind of raise them up. This kid's doing it by hand here.
Yep.
Sometimes you get these little kits, though. These are always neat. There's a Smurf kit. That's a sand sifter. You use that to get shells with, to get the
Yep.
sand off and other things. Or shark's tooth. You might find a shark's tooth on the thing. Or some hardened glass, like natural glass that was,
Or
Sand.
if you're in Chicago, maybe a bunch of used condoms or something.
or a needle.
Or a needle.
Or used
yeah.
needle or something. I think that was a problem with the Jersey Shore. I think they eventually cleaned it up. People were finding like used needles on there, all sorts of horrible.
Not
things. You
surprised.
wanna step on one of those. Come on. If you guys used to listen to the Beach Boys while going to a beach town, I don't remember. We did listen to the Beach Boys though. It's possible.
I definitely
Little
did
Surfer
enjoy the
Girl,
Beach Boys, yeah.
that? The Beach Boys is great music. I mean, they were.
My
they're
mom
really
obviously,
underrated.
my mom obviously was an influence on me for the Beach Boys. But then when I was in high school, I had a shop teacher who really pushed the Beach Boys and Jan and Dean for their formula songs.
Yeah. It makes me sad. You realize what California once was when you think about the Beach Boys.
I know.
right?
I know.
It was like a magical place. They all could all be California girls.
Yeah.
You might want to play volleyball, or look at someone playing volleyball.
Yeah. No, you're right. Back then, you wish they all could be California girls. Now you're afraid they might be California girls.
Now they would have bleached purple hair and like,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
throw them on the volleyball and they get a knife out and stab it. Just
Yeah, exactly.
play it. So,
And don't look at me with your male gaze.
I don't know. I was never a big volleyball fan, but I used to do pool volleyball sometimes. Yeah, but they had other things at the beach. You might go surfing.
Ha, Pee Wee Herman.
Is that from Back to the Beach? Do you remember Back to the Beach? You ever see Back to the Beach with Frankie and Annette?
I did, but no, this is a Pee Wee Herman movie. I think it was his Big Adventure or something like that.
Maybe. I know he shows up in Back to the Beach for a song.
Oh,
I
okay.
need to rewatch Back to the Beach. That's on my rewatch list, but because what was funny is that movie took it like it's in the 80s and their beach blanket bingo characters were alive
Right.
in the 80s and they had a family and like the one kid's yelling at the mom saying, "What is for lunch? Peanut butter. You give me peanut butter every day." And like she said, but then she goes because I guess. In the 50s, you always saw the kids eating a peanut butter sandwich, and he's like, "I'm done with the peanut butter. I don't want to eat this anymore."
Oh, damn.
It was like basically making fun of. It's like an Austin
Right.
Powers, but for now.
Exactly,
Oh
Sir
well,
Tom.
yeah. Well, welcome to the year 2024.
2024, right?
What is it? 5 more years of the Clown World decade. I don't know what the 2030s will be like. That'll be a new decade, but this is the Clown World decade.
John is absolutely right. Glenn Campbell. People don't realize Glenn Campbell wasn't just on the Cowboy Records. He was a session player, and he was background on a lot of other albums too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he was a brilliant composer, musician. I'm not gonna take anything away from him. You might watch Shark. I'm getting ridiculous here. I don't know if I ever saw a shark at the beach, but of course this is from Jaws 4.
Right.
That's why it looks worse than the original. The original. I have to watch Jaws 2 because I kind of think maybe they didn't go overboard with Jaws 2, even though it's not Spielberg directing it. It might have
Right.
still been okay. And then I'm thinking 3 and 4 just skip, right? I don't know if they went to 5 or not. But.
Well, 3 was good because it was that year that everything was coming out in 3D.
Friday
yeah.
the 13th 3D. That was
Yeah.
another one.
Yep. Which was, by the way, my first Friday the 13th movie. I started with number 3 and freaked me the hell out. So I watched the movie without 3D glasses, so it was all blurry.
Oh, that's too bad. That was the one.
No,
with,
I did that intentionally because it was
because
like
your uncle took you. You
Right,
told me.
yeah.
About, we'll get
Yes.
into that a little bit because we're going to get into camp. Did
Yeah.
you ever go to summer camp?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good because I did, and so maybe you'll have some stories.
Oh, I got a camp stories. Let me tell you.
Okay, so maybe we'll do that when we get to Rumble. We'll see. But you might get a hot dog on a stick.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. Did you ever have this? What is a hot dog on a stick? Is that a corn dog?
It's a corn dog. It's basically a corn dog. Yeah.
Okay.
I never cared for corn dogs because I didn't like the cornbread on it.
I'm all right with a corn dog. In fact, some of those fairs, they have the nice big ones you can get. But actually, Culver's, if you go to Culver's, which is a chain of hamburger joint.
No,
chain,
we've got them here, yeah.
You can get a corn dog as a side item. You can get a corn dog. So, Big Al, I don't know if you have any.
See, my thing is that I would see these people eating corn dogs and they'd put ketchup on it, and I'd be like, "The fuck's wrong with you? You don't put ketchup on a hot dog."
I don't get putting anything on a corn dog. I remember on Stranger Things, I think the guy put mustard on it.
Yeah, that I can kind of understand.
Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I would like that. I don't know, but I would just eat them plain because I forget.
Seems incomplete to me because I feel like, well, I can put mustard on it, but how do I put the relish and onion and tomato? And, you can't do that.
Not that I want to get us off on a tangent, but I think I talked about this on Geeky Geezers. But remember the hot dogs with the filling in them?
Yeah.
Like the Franken weenies, which apparently were taken off the market because of
because they were weird.
No, because they would burn people. Like people got burned for making them. But
okay.
I thought that was incredible. The chili is already in the hot dog. I mean, come on.
Well,
this is not selling you, okay.
Jesse, I didn't even know that was a thing. And if you're gonna do spicy, I'd rather just have a good hot sauce rather than a spicy ketchup.
I would try that, Jesse. I'm not as. I'll confess. When I was a kid, every so often I would put ketchup on a hot dog. I had to stop though because of the derision from everybody around me saying, "Who puts ketchup on a hot dog?" I would get yelled at, so I just stopped doing it. Okay.
And you're from the New York, New Jersey area. Imagine if you were from Chicago.
Mustard.
Oh, yeah, in Illinois, it's blasphemous to put ketchup on a hot dog.
You know what I started putting on the hot dogs after that? I used to put relish.
Relish
on a hot dog. And we even had something in New Jersey called Piccadilly relish. I think that's what it was called.
Yeah, my mom and I would go round and round with that. It's not that. It's not that different from regular pickle relish.
It's different.
It is, but not enough to matter to me.
It's enough to matter to me.
So anyway. A Chicago hot dog, right? First it's steamed, right? The bun and the hot dog is steamed.
Yes.
You gotta have celery salt on it. That's the thing that most people don't even realize is on it. But celery salt makes a huge difference. Then it's mustard, onion, relish, tomato.
Yeah, they put tomato
and a spear of dill pickle, and two sport peppers, which they say are supposed to be hot, but they're not hot.
I need to try
There's barely a tang to them.
I need to try that someday. That sounds interesting.
That is the true and it's, to me, that is a hot is a meal, Now, I also did like plain hot dogs, literally just the hot dog and the bun.
Yeah.
But those were more like a snack. I could eat 2 or 3 of those.
Like Nathan's, the Nathan's chain has those. In fact, you can get a combo with fries, and you get a combo with 2 hot dogs or 1. I usually get the 2.
Oh, that
then we get
good.
the fries with it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
In New York, New Jersey area, though, we did have a hot dog stand called. I think it was called Muncie's, and I'm going to tell you what the typical New York, New Jersey style chili dog is. It would have mustard, chili sauce without any beans, no beans. And I believe onions on top, raw onions on top, little chopped raw onions on top. And that would typically be a northeastern chili dog. Yeah. I know they probably do them differently in different states, but that's usually what they would do.
So this Whataburger I've heard about in like Texas and the Southwest. Never been. I don't know anything about them, but yeah, I can understand.
I think I've run across a couple of those. They have in Texas. You say Texas? I think I saw one there. I might have eaten there once, actually.
And that's different. On a burger, I'm okay with ketchup on a burger. Ketchup on a burger is fine with me. Not on a hot dog. That's just wrong.
You know, I like on a burger if I go to Five Guys, I get the grilled jalapenos.
Oh, that sounds like it would be good. I've never had.
Yes.
For me,
I get them grilled. Yeah.
Any combination of ketchup, mustard, onion, with or without tomatoes, with or without pickles, I don't care. Lettuce
Pickles,
is
I need pickles. Some people don't like pickles, but I need pickles.
Mustard, onion only.
That's fine.
Netter likes mustard and onion. Now, see, one thing that I've started making here is sometimes I've got ground beef, and I'll just grill up the ground beef, so I've just plain ground beef, and I will make a cheeseburger salad. Chop up lettuce, onion, tomato, pickles, and then I put, I meat and American cheese. I mix them together.
Right.
Throw that into it, and instead of any kind of a dressing, ketchup and mustard.
Okay, is that another?
Essentially, it's just a cheeseburger without the bun. You know,
I like the bun. I like bread.
Well,
anyway,
I do too, but
I know if you're trying to cut back on the carbs.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Netter something though. If you're a fan of mustard, some barbecue places in the South, they were barbecue sauce barbecue, but there's also a mustard-based barbecue too. If you knew about
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Some southern places, some southern places do a mustard-based.
Are you? Technically, Florida constitutes the
I've
South.
never had it actually. Yeah.
Are you?
But I should try it.
Are you sauce or rub when it comes to burgers? When it comes to barbecue?
I like sauce, but I've tried rub before. I don't mind rub. I'll do either.
I kind of like both.
You know,
If it's a good sauce, I like it. I prefer the rubs because I like to eat meat, to be honest with you.
I'm going to say this. I'm typically a pork guy, but I'll say this. I do like barbecue beef a lot, too, when it's chopped, and it's not bad.
Yeah, so I've never been to Wiener Circle, although I've heard of it. But, yeah, that's a shtick that a number of places here have. They used to have... Actually, I don't know. They'd gone out of business and then they reopened somewhere else. Ed DeBevick's used to be that way too, where they had this shtick where the wait staff would be really rude, like diner rude. But it was all part of the gag. It was just part of the gag,
It's funny. I went to a French restaurant that seemed like that. There was a rude, but I think it was part of the gag. Or I don't know. Maybe it wasn't.
Snooty,
it wasn't. But I'm sad that place closed down. I had the best dessert I ever had. It was at a French restaurant, oddly enough. Yeah.
There you
go. Let me go back, though, and first talk about hot dogs, but I'm going to have one last thing. There's an independent place here that does the Chicago hot dog like Troy's talking about. Okay. I'll keep an eye out. Maybe if I'm in a diner sometime and they got it on the menu, maybe I'll give it a try. But here we go. You might
Centipede,
stop by
I remember that.
You would find arcades at beach areas. And sometimes they were quite sizable. I went to one where they had Shadow Dancer, the Shinobi game by Sega. They had that in the arcade once. They had all sorts of things. I think Dragon's Lair, I played that in one of these beach arcades. I think Tron, the original Tron game, I played at one of these beach arcades. But there's a guy playing Centipede, see?
Yeah.
Remember Centipede?
I absolutely do. It was the first game I ever played that had the trackball. I loved that.
Yeah, the trackball is incredible.
Missile Command used that too.
It's the one thing we don't have with modern consoles. We don't have the trackball. They did come up with a makeshift when they would release some of those old Atari games on PC, was that you could kind of use the mouse as a makeshift trackball. In fact, if you had one of those mice that had the mouse, the circle thing on top, you could use that like a trackball. Nice.
But we, like I said, I didn't live near the
beach.
Didn't live near the beach.
But they must have had some at the pool.
What we had, no, actually,
really,
I don't remember there being any
Moon
video
Patrol
games at
a public pool. I guess you didn't have any.
For us, there was just an arcade that was just a shop front, but there was also we had a miniature golf place called Haunted Trails.
Love
and it was a full-on arcade as well. And birthday parties there, and you could literally just spend all day there playing video games. It was wonderful, and it was like, in a lot of ways, it was like Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz Pizza before those even existed. It was kind of like that. Didn't have the animatronics or any of that kind of stuff, but it had the arcade, and it had a snack bar, and it had skee ball where you could win stuff and stuff.
Yes,
like that.
I used to love skee ball.
Yeah.
And you could win stuff. You get the tickets.
The whack-a-mole to get the
Whack-a-mole.
tickets.
Whack-a-mole.
And stuff, yeah.
I remember
this was all
pinball
precursor to I almost said Freddy Fazbear's, but basically those things that inspired Freddy Fazbear's.
Oh, Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese.
I went to a
Showbiz
birthday
Pizza.
party at a Chuck E. Cheese once. We each got
I
a
had
token.
a couple. Yeah.
I spent my token on a game called Food Fight. Remember Food Fight?
I do remember that. See, we got whole buckets of coins.
I should have brought some cash with me. I was annoyed. I wish I'd asked my parents for more cash because I couldn't really,
Even before going to, even before we went
we got
to
pizza.
Before we
And,
went
there was
to
cake,
Haunted
too.
Trails, there's this little ice cream shop that my buddy David, his mom used to take us to. We'd get an ice cream, and then we would play. I don't remember what games they had there besides Space Invaders. We were just playing Space Invaders. It was that was the first video game I ever played, was at that ice cream shop. It was Space Invaders. I told my mom how excited I was about Space Invaders. I wanted to go back and play Space Invaders. I wanted an Atari 2600 so I could play Space Invaders at home.
Yeah, well, that's the idea, but then it wasn't quite the same, was it?
No, it wasn't. It
different.
was okay, but it wasn't quite the same.
It was better than the Pac-Man that came out in the old Atari. I can tell
That's
you that.
for damn
That was
sure.
a disaster.
That's for damn sure.
But I'd forgotten Galaxian. I remember having. I talked about this on Good Old Days, but I had an Atari computer and I played Deluxe Space Invaders, which apparently was put out by Midway. Even though it was a potato game. Yeah. First one I ever played was Asteroids. Yeah, but there were a lot of games I played in the arcade.
I loved
miss the arcade.
Asteroids. The problem with Asteroids, so you had two movement options, right? You had the thruster, right, which was a lot of fun when there was not a lot of asteroids on the board, right? Because then you could go pss, 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 and then you'd be going fast, and you'd be going off the sides, and it was a lot of fun till boom, you crashed into something, right? The other option was you wanted to stop moving. You'd hit the hyperspace, but then you'd appear in a random place, and you could appear right in front of an asteroid and smash your ass.
You know what's interesting? This was prior to the pandemic. This might have been during the last decade, but arcade bars were becoming popular where you'd have a bunch of free-to-play arcade games, but the idea is you'd still go into the bar and buy drinks. But you get to play some free arcade games while you're at the bar, and that was kind of neat.
They
were old school games like Burger Time and things.
I actually don't know if we still have them here, but we had Dave and Buster's, which was like that, except you were still paying for the games. So
yeah, this was more like local thing, like a local bar. This would be like where you'd go there, but you'd get to play for free, except for the Mortal Kombat 2 machine that took quarters.
Yeah.
But the other ones were all free, and they would switch them out so you wouldn't always get the same game. Like they had Cubert there. And I was telling my friend Rachel, I've never played this. Well, you have to. This is how you do it. You have to go, diagonal and everything.
Yeah.
I had Cubert on the NES actually. I got the NES port of that.
You had so Jesse had a Peter Piper pizza. It was fun for everybody. Pizza, wings,
sodas. You had me at pizza and wings.
Yeah. If they had video games too, you know what? It's just as good as Chuck E. Cheese.
And bumper cars.
I'll tell you what. Chuck E. Cheese had and if you've never seen Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz Pizza, you kind of get the impression of what it's like from those Five Nights at Freddy's games, right? They weren't quite that creepy, obviously, but I'll be honest with you. Even as a kid, I was like, "Damn, this is like Las Vegas for kids." You know,
basically,
kind of was.
I didn't even think about that, but that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
They did a bad parody of Chuck E. Cheese on The Simpsons. I think it was
surprised.
called Wally something, and like all the kids were like, "It's Wally," and they all started attacking the guy because I guess there was a guy in the
Yeah.
The mascot suit.
What's wild about, the existence of these Five Nights at Freddy's horror games is if you're our age and you grew up with Chuck E. Cheese and Showbiz Pizza, it's like, holy fuck, I understand exactly what this game is. I could totally see this happening as an outgrowth from Chuck E. Cheese.
But do you know who made Chuck E. Cheese?
I don't want to know. You're going to scare me. I'm going to have nightmares. Don't tell me. What?
Nolan Bushnell, founder of Atari.
Oh.
When Mattel bought Atari and they said, hey, you get to still run the company. We're just going to buy it from you. You can run it how you want. We bought the company. You're fired. That usual thing. What did he do after he was fired? He started a chain of restaurants called Chuck E. Cheese that had arcade games in them.
This is brilliant.
Oh, my goodness. I'm just thinking of this now, and I think Tron came out before that happened. But think about it. That's like the plot of Flynn from Tron.
Kinda.
Flint's a talented.
But let's face it, that's
stolen.
corporate America. That's no.
But then he starts an arcade. He runs an arcade
right.
at the beginning of the movie.
Exactly.
Just to stay afloat. And I thought that. Wait a minute. That's sort of what happened to Nolan Bush,
the
guy that created Pong.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Spend a lot of time and see. This is the other thing too. Back then, if you played Centipede, it was 1 quarter, 1 play. And when you were dead, you'd put in another quarter and start all over from the beginning. Okay. It wasn't until much later they started coming up with 50-cent games. And then you'd add another quarter to keep the game going.
And you could have continue.
Yep.
Some of those games are ridiculous. My son loved Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, see, well, that's kind of neat, though. So it's like something from the old days is still getting passed down. Yeah, my buddy's kids were real into that, and I'd never heard of it until they showed it to me. And I turned to their father, and I'm like, damn it, it's Chuck E. Cheese. He's like, yep, that's exactly what it is. So we're heading toward the midnight mark now. Yep. Or the halfway mark. You want to do a transfer over before we start talking about summer camp? Yeah, let me tell you something, guys. I'm getting more and more frustrated with YouTube as far as the watch hours. I'm struggling because every week that I'm thinking this is the week, and then you got to remember it's 365 days, and that first day falls off when day number 365 gets added on, and I'm just not making it. But I'm making money over on Rumble. So guys, I would super appreciate it if you guys would all jump on over to Rumble now. I've been running the Rumble for this whole time. You can always start there if you choose to. But let me put that link right here in the chat.
And my YouTube is still up if you guys want to stay on
Right. If you're on Netters, just stay there. But you got all sorts of interesting videos on Rumble too that you don't see on YouTube. That's true. That's true because they're not allowed. It's. I need to be hanging out here more often.
If they're not allowed, does it make them a quiet?
Kinda. How do I
Dude, the My Pillow guy is advertising when I click play on your video over here.
So I got it pinned. So now if you're on YouTube, the pinned comment will get you over to Rumble. You know what I want to do, man, is I want to, I know on Mondays I make this an intermission thing. I don't want to do that, but what I do need to do is I need to hit the head. So while you guys are all moving over to Rumble, I'm going to hit the head real quick. So I'm going to stop my cam and I'll be right back. And, when I get back, I'm going to shut down the YouTube stream, and we'll move on over to Rumble. And give me 3 minutes, and I'll be right back. Okay, you can keep going if you want, but I'll be right back. All right. So, any of you have any fascinating summer camp memories you want to share with us? Oh gosh. Did you go to summer camp?
I had gone to a camp. It was actually with my church. We were there for like 2 weeks. And I remember they would do these weird games. One of them, it was, they were supposed to, they would have a camp counselor that would inspect your barracks every day. Oh. And you were allowed to play jokes on them. So they ended up at one point taking everyone's mattress. So there was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So there's like 16 mattresses because there was bunk beds, and there's like, maybe there's only 3 on one side. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So there are 12 mattresses. So it's bunk beds, 3 on each side. So they had all those mattresses, and they put them against the door so they couldn't really get the door open. And once they finally did get the door open, they'd fall onto the mattresses. At least that was the idea. Well, then just made our bunk look sloppy because we had all these mattresses all over the place. So we got points deducted for that. And I was against it because I was like, I just made my bed. You know, it looked nice and neat and pretty. And when they took off my mattress, they wrecked how my bed looked. So I was not happy with that. It's like, don't touch my stuff. It's like, and they just did a bunch of really stupid gags, you know, to try and get the counselors. And it's just like, you know, leave me out of it. I'm not interested. That was the only one I was forced to be a part of, and it's only because they took my mattress after I left the room.
Oh, and you got points deducted. What did that mean if you got points deducted? What would happen?
Nothing really. It was just like, if you got, like, at the end of the 2 weeks, it's like, okay, you know, this cabin got this many points. This cabin has this many points. Whoever had the most points got some silly prize. So if you got points deducted, it's kind of like, you know, watching Harry Potter. You know, Gryffindor gets 10 points or whatever. It's like we might have like 5 points deducted for having a messy bed or something.
Okay.
Ooh.
Gonna shut down the. I think you guys are all over on the rumbles anyway. So
Tired.
Bye YouTube.
Bye YouTube.
Let's remove that.
Netta was sharing some of her summer camp memories. I never went to summer camp. Somehow I missed out, or maybe I didn't. I was terrified of going to summer camp, but so yeah.
So yeah, my first summer camp was I was in grade school, and it wasn't
Camp Hideaway. No, I don't.
It wasn't. Well, wait, we'll get to that, but no, it was a camp that was so again, we're talking about summertime, so school was out, and there was a Catholic high school
Right.
that was near us that was a what do they call it when you stay on campus and they have dorms?
Grad night?
No. It was
Was a summer camp at the school?
yes, it was.
What?
So the high school was out for the summer, and so that left the dormitories and whatnot.
There was no
open.
Camp Crystal Lake or anything.
It wasn't that kind of a
Okay,
camp. It
all
was
right.
it was more focused on learning to play musical instruments. So you would go, and if you were in a band at your school, you'd bring your instrument and whatnot. Otherwise, they'd teach you how to play like the recorder and percussion instruments and stuff like that. It was pretty cool, and it was a whole week in the summer. Yeah, so it was actually a lot of fun, and I went every year for a good number of years until I went to high school. Kind of met a girl there at one of those camps. I was in 8th grade. Yeah, met a girl. Kind of a little bit of a puppy love type of summer romance. Left the camp. We were walking together to go to where the parents were parked waiting to pick us up. Turns out that I had hooked up with the daughter of somebody that my mom had gone to high school with.
Okay.
So they knew each other. I was like, wow,
how
that's
cute.
That's pretty wild. Yeah. Although you'd think that would have meant we could have kept in touch. We didn't. Never saw her again.
Did you ever go to a camp like this?
Yeah. So
Is this how
then
many kids had to sleep on the bunk?
well, yeah. So when I got old, when I was a little older in grade school, so like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I joined the Boy Scouts. And, obviously we started camping when we were in the Boy Scouts. The earliest camps we went to were this kind of thing where we would be in cabins. The first one that I ever went to was, this one wasn't summer, this was winter. And this was awesome. It was during winter break, and we went to Camp Delavan, and we were in these cabins, and it was freezing outside, snow up to your knees, but inside you could build a fire, and it was just toasty, warm, awesome, and oh God, I loved it. It was wonderful, and we would bring our little, handheld video games, play them for about 15, 20 minutes. I brought my Dungeons and Dragons books, and we did a pick-up Dungeons and Dragons game. But it was just so much fun. And, but, you'd have to go outside to go to the bathroom. So you'd go outside and you'd dig a hole, and you'd, freezing weather in the middle of the night. And let me tell you something. There's nothing like peeing outdoors in freezing weather. It's an experience.
Yeah, well, sounds like one.
But then in the summertime when I got older, it wasn't in the cabins. It was tents or. One year I was working on a survival merit badge, so you didn't even get tents. You had to build shelters. You had to make the fire from scratch without, anything like matches or anything like that.
Did you use like a magnifying glass or something?
You could if you wanted to, but that was a challenge. You're really better off doing some sort of a friction method,
like a whittling, like a
whether it's the stick on another piece of wood,
we tried doing
or the
that,
bow. That's another great one.
What always got me is that I would go camping with the Girl Scouts in the summer. Mm-hmm. Summers are hot, except that the nights would be freezing, flipping cold. So you're sitting there huddled in your sleeping bag, trying to stay warm. It's like, it's summer. How are the nights so freaking cold?
Yep. And I'll tell you what, it was Camp Mackinac. The problem with that camp was most of the campgrounds were right around, not a lake, it was a bog. So there were mosquitoes. Those mosquitoes were terrible. We had to sleep with mosquito netting. It was just miserable. That was just miserable.
You need the off spray.
Oh yeah, it didn't work. We used it. And
then you would spray the off spray over the mosquito bite, and it'd be like, oh.
Yeah. And you hiked, I don't know, about a quarter of a mile one way to the base camp every day, where you would get your supplies for the day, all your food and water and stuff, and you bring it back to the camp. You walked about a half mile in the opposite direction, away from the bog, which was really nice, and you would get to, it looked just like that, not the volleyball thing, but that little shelter in the back there. It was the gun range, where you would fire off 22 rifles at targets.
Oh, that's neat.
You would go to the base camp, and for a couple bucks, you would buy tickets that you would take with you to the range, which is on the other side of the camp, to buy ammo. And then you could, do target practice. And about, 100 yards a little further on from where the 22 rifles were, there was an archery range, and you could also, get arrows. And I was really good with archery because there was a summer program that I'd been a part of for a long time that we learned how to fire bows. Thing was, in those programs, they were brand new arrows every year with perfect fletching and everything. The ones the Boy Scout camp had, there was almost no feathers left to them. So it was like, hit or miss kind of thing, you know. But yeah, that was Camp Maconoshu. Loved that camp. Got my Order of the Arrow while I was there.
Okay. That's cool. That's a merit badge, right?
Well, it's not so much a merit badge. It's this sash that you get. It was like a whole separate award. It had, you learned all kinds of Native American lore and stuff like that, and history and whatnot. And you had to complete. You have already completed certain merit badges to qualify and stuff. It was really pretty cool.
Here we go. I don't know if this is from a movie or what. I don't know.
Could be, yeah. But
like that Tasmanian Devil shirt, huh?
Well,
was this from Sleepaway Camp? Maybe it was from Sleepaway Camp. I don't know.
Yeah, no, nobody that I knew would wear a cut-off shirt like that. I don't care how built you are, you'd still get picked on. That was just.
It was a thing. I saw guys doing it in Jersey, so maybe it wasn't. Somebody made a joke in the comments like, "Yeah, no, he's not a teenager. He's a 35-year-old construction worker or something."
Well, and the thing was, you'd always tell the guys, "Look, yeah, you got rock hard abs, but you dress like a girl. That's an outfit a girl wears."
They tried pushing that on me. I'm like, I'm not wearing that.
It's like either you wear a shirt or you wear no shirt at all. This halfway in between. That's easy stuff.
Here we go. Meatballs. Was Meatballs accurate to the summer camp vibe environment? Bill Murray, come on.
Well, no. See, because everything in that movie was so exaggerated, right? Yes, there were nerds, but there were never nerds like these nerds. You know, that whole thing with pocket protector and the glasses with tape and everything, that was way beyond reality, you know. Nobody was that out of touch, you know, as far as nerds go. And the jocks were never so, completely cut off from pop culture that all they knew was sports, and they were,
talking about Star Wars,
Yeah, everyone was,
Heck, people even watched the Star Trek movies. People forget this.
Yeah,
people would see Wrath of Khan. It was not like this nerdy thing. Regular people saw that movie.
Yeah,
Not everybody liked it, but yeah.
It wasn't what you saw in pop culture where you got picked on because you're a Star Wars fan or sci-fi fan or whatever. It was the jocks versus the scholastically minded to a degree, but it was also what went along with that more than their interests was muscular, cool, as opposed to wimpy, uncool, and that's where the very basic primate, asserting dominance kind of stuff kind of came from. That's where the picking on the weaker kids comes from. All of this stuff that you see in movies is way exaggerated.
Yeah. Cranky Off Fire says Wrath of Khan is still the best Trek movie of all time.
Well, I won't argue with that. Yeah.
No, I have to say I'm still a big fan of Into Darkness. I thought that was like a better Wrath of Khan. I'm joking. I'm kidding. He's ready to reach out and try to strangle me. I'm in Florida. Good luck.
Yeah.
No, that was the worst one. Actually, I thought Nemesis was bad, and then I saw Into Darkness. I'm like, no.
I thought the first Star Trek movie was, but the Klingons were cool.
Here's the thing. I can respect that movie from an effects standpoint. There were some amazing model effects. I thought the uniforms were terrible in the motion picture.
Well, they were terrible.
They're like pajamas.
Between the fact
they
that
should have stole pajamas that looked like those Trek uniforms. They
were onesie wedgie costumes. It was just and the colors, these lavenders. It's like, oh god, man.
I kept wondering what Jerry Seinfeld was talking about. In the future, you don't have pockets, and it's all one thing. And I'm thinking, he's referring to the uniforms from motion picture,
right?
But I don't know. I figured I keep thinking I watch movies like Meatballs. I figure this is what it was like. I watch. Here we go. Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown. That's another camp movie.
I remember that one. Yeah.
I love this movie. You got Franklin there. You got Schroeder, Charlie Brown, and Linus.
Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown was a Peanuts animated feature. It was
came out in summer of '77.
And my school, my grade school, we did a field trip to go see a matinee of this. And then a couple of years later, I saw it at the local library. They had, they had movies on, I think it was Saturday mornings or maybe it was Sunday mornings. I can't remember now. No, I take that back. It was during the summer. It was a summer thing. And you would go, I don't remember what day of the week it was, but you would go and you'd watch a movie, and then when the movie was over, you could go pick out a book or two.
This was, that's cool. And you could pick up a Peanuts book, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
I always love this movie. I think this is a great satire of camp life. Like, there's a scene where they're all having to sew wallets together. I'm like, is this like forced labor? Are these being sent to like a shop somewhere?
No. See, there was always these arts and crafts at all these camps, right? And you would, it was to teach you basic leatherworking is what it was.
And then the movie makes a left turn when they go on the river rafting thing, and I'm realizing, wait a minute, they're all on their own, and I'm thinking, this is going on for like a week. And I'm thinking, there's like no adult supervision. You're on your own, and they all have to survive. Yeah. They even enter like a wintry area, like where there's snow. It's this was a fun ride. It did kind of poorly at the box office because that was summer of Star Wars, but I think it's a great Peanuts movie.
Yeah, I didn't do any rafting like that until I was much older. I was in high school by the time they started doing that. You
had the bullies with their like Navy, like their Navy SEAL raft with like like the sonar, the radar,
sailor hats. Yeah.
What did Charlie Brown in the map like? A makeshift thing out of wooden tires, I think it was.
Right.
It was.
Well, you remember, and it was them against the older boys, but it was also them against the girls. It was boys against the girls.
The girls were funny.
Big spoiler, both of the boys and the girls ended up, having to join up together at the end in order to cross the finish line.
To beat the bullies, yes.
Yep.
What I liked about the girls, because the girls was what? It was Peppermint Patty, Marcy, Lucy, and Sally. And their group they were like, let's cast the let's vote for the leader, and everyone votes for the leader, and they all vote for themselves. I think even Peppermint Patty looks over at Marcy and is like, gives her a dirty look, like, why did you vote? I thought I was, but then she like smiled and kind of snuck away, and she says, and then Peppermint Patty says, and I'll cast the deciding vote. I'm the leader, and then Lucy's like, wait, how does that work? And she got all angry, and it's like,
that does. I just recently saw, because I haven't watched the show Survivor in like 20 years or something like that.
Yes.
And I saw a YouTube video that was, I think it was a British version of it. And it was men against the women, and the men were just kicking ass. They were making fires. They were catching alligators and snakes,
oh my goodness.
and cooking. They were just doing awesome. And the girls were all and they were purifying the water and
they set up a trading post by the end and were trading with the
right, exactly. And they were like, man, we're having the best time. And every night you would see them like dancing and singing around the fire and stuff. The women. Every day they were like crying, and they were starving, and they were dehydrated. They had no fire, so they couldn't boil the water, so they got no water. They couldn't get any food, and at one point the guy from the show was like, I'm going to have to send you guys home. You guys are going to die if I don't. If you don't have water in the next 24 hours, I'm sending you home. And it was just like, man. And and the host is like, see, I knew the women could do it. And it's like, what are they doing? They're getting handouts. Otherwise, they're going to die. That's not Survivor. That's socialism.
They would argue with each other more too. Like, there were some women in the thing that kept fighting with each other. So you just select the leader.
And the guys, they selected a leader. They were like, you know what, dude? You know how to hunt. You're the leader.
You're in charge. We'll do.
And he's like, I'm not sure. Everybody else said he was the leader. Okay, you're the leader. No arguments.
I remember. I want to say it was like maybe in the second season or something,
Mm-hmm.
and they're swearing up and down that somebody had smuggled in some beef jerky and was eating it on the sly.
Oh gosh.
And he's like, I'm chewing on tree bark. I'm trying to keep my mouth wet.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, this beef jerky. You're eating beef jerky. You're not sharing with anybody else. He goes, it's tree bark. Here, you want some?
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway,
I do see the difference in personality between the boys and the girls. They exaggerate it maybe a little bit with the peanuts, but it's still kind of on point.
I love both. I love both group dynamics. What was it? And the argument was in this movie is that Charlie Brown is a great leader with no confidence. Peppermint Patty is a bad leader with a lot of confidence. Okay, that was what they were arguing.
I never thought about that, but it's true. Yeah.
I don't know, but I like Peppermint Patty. I always feel that all the Peanuts characters are most like her. She's very, I don't know. I sometimes see myself as gregarious, so she comes off as gregarious. So, but here we go. This is what the heck is this? Oh, this is Sleepaway Camp, which I'd only seen a few years ago. You've probably seen this movie, right?
I have.
With the secret special ending. Anyway, here's why
I'll tell you what. The guys like that guy right there. Dressed so pansified that by the time I got to the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, this really doesn't surprise me at all. I saw this. Yeah, it makes sense.
Let me tell you, Sleepaway Camp.
Those tight short shorts and the tight sleeveless. He looks like yes, he looks muscular. He's in much better shape than I am. But he looks like he's not at all interested in the women at all. Just saying.
I don't know if that was a subplot or not. Anyway, Sleepaway Camp. What I enjoyed about this movie, watching it as an older adult when I finally did get around to watching it, is that this movie perfectly encapsulates what young kids, like preteens and teenagers in the Northeast, were like in the early 80s.
It kind of does, yeah. You're right.
They're all assholes. They're all assholes. This is what I grew up around. Everyone's yelling at each other. Even the kids getting picked on are kind of taking it too far, going up against the people that were.
It's kind of gotten way worse.
It's all just people screaming at each other, and it's all with those like Northeastern. It had to have taken place. I want to say for this group, it might have been New York, maybe Long Island area, and they went to camp. Maybe that's where all these kids came from. It just perfectly encapsulated everything. Like there's. Like, I think one of the older kids that was getting annoyed the younger, but I think he was trying to come back, let's just play the baseball game. And then finally he says, eat shit and live, Ricky. And then Ricky says, eat shit and die. And it's like, come on, dude. It's like you're taking that even worse. It's like, and part of me wonders if this was like a Blair Witch thing where they just started having them act like they would act normally.
I guess. Yeah, possibly.
Everyone's just in a bad mood. And of course, this is a scene from another summer camp movie. You may recognize it as Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yes, I do.
But tell me, did you ever at these camps do the ghost story on the campfire? That's what I wanted to get
to. Yeah. When I was in Boy Scouts, we did it all the time. And unfortunately, we didn't have anyone who was really good at telling scary stories.
Yeah, it's a skill. You have to know how to tell stories.
I remember our troop leader had this story about... that lived in the woods and he had a hook hand and everything and he tried, we gave him props, I'd ask him, I'm like, is that really based on anything real? And, oh yeah, it's absolutely real. I'm like, no, I mean seriously, I'm curious. Yeah, no, it's not. It's just something they tell at every camp.
The story floated around, man. People said Cropsey, right? Was it Cropsey?
I don't remember. I have
Cropsey was I think my area, but maybe it was something different in the Chicago area. So don't ask, is it real, and be a party pooper. Of course it's real.
Yeah.
Anyway. And then someone jumps out at you, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is...
But we expected it, so it wasn't, whatever.
And you got the guy in the leg.
Friday the 13th, yeah. Oh, it was all a dream. This has to be the third one?
Third or fourth one. You said you got freaked out by Friday. And I have a question. Were you freaked out because you knew about summer camp and you were afraid this was the killer in the woods? Huh?
No. I was pretty young at the time, so I Well, I was still traumatized from Poltergeist, right? So
That
scary
was a
movies.
messed up movie. Yeah.
Scary movies kind of had me messed up. So, like I said, I watched this one, and I'm 99% certain this is
It might be the third one. Yeah.
third one.
That's the first one where he wears the hockey mask.
Right.
He had a big
And
he had a burlap sack over his head in the second one. Yeah.
Right. I took off the 3D glasses, and it's all blurry. So it put that distance between me and the horror. By the time I realized what was going on the screen that was supposed to be scary, it was kind of already over, and lost its impact. I went to see this with my uncle and my aunt. My aunt kept trying to get me, because I would do this. I'd watch through the lattice of my fingers, like somehow that filtered out the scary somehow. And she'd be like, okay, you can look now. And it would be like at the worst time, and she'd laugh. And my uncle's kind of a dick. He was he'd pick on you, and he'd, slug bug punch in the arm, raise bruises, I'm toughening him up. He's
Toughen him up.
Yeah, my uncle was always kind of an asshole, except when it came to this. When it came to the horror movies, he'd look over at his wife and leave him alone. Just leave him alone. And I never understood why. And I told my mom about this, and she was a little surprised that my Aunt Debbie would was trying to scare me, because she was always such a nice person. He's like, and I was like, but why would Uncle Richard be? And she's like, let me tell you a story.
What?
When he was a kid and he was on the football team, he and the football players went to see a movie, and it was he was the one who drew the short straw to get the concessions for everyone. So he's coming back into the theater in the middle of the movie with armfuls of popcorn and soda in a tray, right?
Yeah.
The movie that he went to see, Psycho. The scene that was on screen when he came in, the shower scene.
Yeah.
He's coming down the aisle at and he went, ah! And the popcorn and soda went flying everywhere.
That.
And ever since then, he had a great deal of sympathy for anyone being afraid.
That is still a scary scene.
Yeah.
In Psycho.
And
that
it
still gets you now.
It's not just a scene being scary. It's hitting you at the right time in the right way. For him, he had no idea what was going on. He's in the middle of the dark theater looking for his seat, and that's all he's seeing. Freaks him the hell out. And I'm sitting with all the lights on watching with Netter. It's like, a scary thing just happened. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, so when it came to Friday the 13th, it's like, he's fine. Leave him alone. And I knew I could trust him when he said, okay, you can watch now or whatever.
See, for me, it's like, I don't mind horror films. I just don't like slasher films. So I don't want to, I tried watching Chainsaw Massacre. I got about 5 minutes into it. There's like a group of people, like 4 people or something like that, staying in a barn, and there's like these sheets hanging down, and there's this guy on the ground with a chainsaw. I'm like, nope, and turned it off.
There's more to it really than that, because I know her.
That was the remake. I don't remember.
She doesn't like anything that gets her stomach all in knots. The building tension. She doesn't like that.
No, I don't like limbs being severed.
Well, there's that.
And stabbies.
There's that, but also, all the regular TV that has very tense moments. You're like, oh, I hate this. I know you do. It's
because I'll watch suspenseful horror films and they don't bother me. It's just kind of like, well, come on, get to it. But I don't like the stabby things or limbs suddenly being removed.
Let's face it, by the time they got to Friday the 13th Part 3, and it was partly because it was the 3D, it did get pretty grisly. Things going into people's eyes, the thing in the head,
things like that, no.
Or even that one scene early in the movie where the guy holds up an eyeball and he's holding it like right in your face.
Right to the screen, yes, I remember that.
That was like, nope, and the things came off.
Or like, what's the movie with the box and configuration box and all that.
Hellraiser.
I don't like seeing like the stuff piercing the skin and all that. It just grosses me out.
Yeah, those movies take on a very different. From when I was young to now, I look at them very different.
Deeper stuff in those than
there is a lot of I didn't realize until I was older. There's some great Lovecraftian, very Judeo-Christian demonic type storylines and plots. But let me tell you something: the scenes that are really graphic and scary when you're a kid become incredibly interesting when you start caring about the behind the scenes special effects, how it's done type stuff.
Yeah.
And when you get older. So yeah, it's a different experience, some of these movies, as you get older. But yeah, I remember. And yeah, so Friday the 13th Part 3, that was a summer movie for me. I went with my uncle and aunt to see that movie, yeah.
I don't know. Is there a summer horror movie coming out like this summer? There should be something. I don't know.
I don't know. You still with us, Deleted Scenes? You'd know.
We had Thanksgiving in the fall. That was a slasher movie.
Yeah.
Done in the old style, but yeah. Oh, this is where I stop. We have to do the next one now.
Oh, okay.
Goodbye, Mr. Voorhees. I knew him well.
Okay, we'll bring the other one.
All right. But anything left to say about summer camp?
No, some really great memories. I loved summer camp, but yeah. Now we'll just move on to whatever you got next for us.
These are amusement parks, but these are not the
Rolling
parks.
Thunder. Where was that? I know
it might have been at a Six Flags it might have been a Six Flags park. This is a Six Flags.
Thunder was a
here.
particular
Yes.
roller coaster, wasn't it?
Maybe they had it at multiple parks. So let's explain it to you. Now, if you were a lucky kid, maybe you'd get to go down to Disney.
Right.
Once every 5 years, if you're lucky.
If that often. That was a twice in a lifetime thing for me.
But most kids, they didn't. Especially if you didn't live in Florida. If you live in Florida, it's easier to do the parks because they give you they give you a resident discount. I don't know how good that discount is now, but used to get money off, and then you could just drive there.
Yeah.
But if you don't live in Florida, you live in other states, you had different parks in your states, and usually they were of the Six Flags variety. Not always. I think there actually was a Busch Gardens in Virginia, actually, because they have one in Florida, they had one in Virginia. But so there were these parks, and they had coasters. And did you go to anything like this? They have anything like this in the Illinois area?
Yes, they absolutely. We had a number of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is something you would do in the summer. You could go to a amusement park, basically. That's what I call the amusement parks. And Six Flags was usually themed off of either DC or Looney Tunes because they got the Warner Brothers license for some reason. I don't know how this never ended up in any other theme park. Like, you've never seen a Batman ride at like a Universal Studios.
Well, right, because it was Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers. Everything Warner Brothers was licensed to Six Flags. So you'd get your Looney Tunes, but you'd also get Superman and Batman and all that kind of stuff.
You know what drives me nuts? Apparently in Australia, they had a Batman Returns ride at one of their theme parks. It might not have been a Six Flags. It might have been something that was in Australia, but it was done like the Back to the Future ride where you were in the Batmobile and the Penguin was controlling the Batmobile.
Nice.
Was one of those kinds of rides. I'd heard about that, but yeah. Different coasters. Obviously, this isn't Disney, but I always looked at these were different style parks. This is more about coasters. Actually, the closest you might get to this in Florida might be the Busch Gardens in Florida. That's a very coaster.
Busch Gardens is a great example of. So we of course had Six Flags here. We had Six Flags Great America. We still do, actually. But we also had smaller parks that this particular roller coaster looks very similar to the kinds of things you would have seen at. We used to have, it was Kittyland. Kittyland was one that was in, I want to say it was in Maywood. It was a seasonal thing, obviously, because we're in the Midwest. It was only late spring through early fall. because, weather. But it was these smaller roller coasters, a lot of merry-go-rounds, a lot of carnival-type rides, but they were permanent carnival rides.
Well, that's kind of cool. Right?
We got another one here. I think it's still here. But we used to have up here in the northwest suburbs a trio of parks. It was Santa's Village, Kitty Kingdom, and Old McDonald's Farm. McDonald's Farm
kids parks.
Yeah, Old McDonald's Farm seems pretty obvious. It was like your basic petting zoo type thing, right? Kitty Kingdom was a themed park like this with the roller coasters and the whatnot.
The roller coaster that went all of 15 feet up, and it kind of went around in a loop.
And the themes were like, kings and knights and that kind of thing. And you could buy like wooden swords and shields and stuff like that. And Santa's Village was basically, imagine a theme park of the North Pole. They literally had a North Pole. They had this pole. It looked like a candy striped pole in the middle of town. And it had a refrigeration unit on it, so there was ice on it. Middle of summer, 102 degrees, and it was frozen like the inside of your freezer, and because the humidity would continue to condense on this thing and freeze there. And of course, you'd go up and you'd put your hand on it, and your hands are all dirty, so this thing was like gray ice. It was disgusting.
That sounds disgusting.
But you could go and see Santa Claus, and they had gift shops where you could buy Christmas stuff all year round and stuff, and the foods and the rides and and this is where it butted up against the petting zoo area, because they had like reindeer, that you could feed the corn and stuff like that. But again, this was a summer thing. This was not a winter thing.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Did it have a Batman stunt show?
No. For that, you had to go to
Six Flags.
Six Flags, yeah.
I never got to see a Batman stunt show, even though I'd been to Six Flags. I was annoyed because I went on a school trip, but of course none of the friends wanted to go see the Batman.
You could tell this was after the Batman and Robin movie.
This is Batman Forever, I think, yeah.
Probably.
They had one, I think in 90 or 91 that was based on the 89 Batman because he was fighting the Joker.
This one, you notice it says Nigmatech, so that's specifically Batman.
Now we're doing the Riddler, and probably, it's probably them versus the Riddler, but yeah,
And you could see that the Robin was there too, yeah.
Robin, yeah. Good old Robin.
Right.
Which would be the not a Robin.
Right.
Do you do you have water parks in Chicago?
We had one. It was called, you're going to love the name of this place. It was called Ebenezer's Flobbenslobber. And it was...
Heck is that?
It was literally this big water slide.
Okay.
You would walk up this hill.
Right.
With these foam mats.
Okay.
You would go down the water slide into a pool, and then you'd just get out and go back up and continue on. What I didn't know as a kid was that this hill that you were walking up and down was a repurposed garbage dump. They had covered a garbage dump with soil and grass seed, and on one side, cement, obviously, for the slide and pool and whatnot, which was nice enough until you realized it was kind of outgassing,
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it was. And eventually they had to shut it down. But it was a lot of fun while we could enjoy it. It was pretty cool, yeah.
Now, of course, New Jersey had a water park that may be known throughout the world. We had Action Park.
Okay.
Do you know what Action Park is?
No.
How have you not heard of Action Park?
I don't know. Probably because I didn't live in the New Jersey area.
Where you're the center of the action. There's been a documentary made about it.
Okay.
Action Park.
What, did they burn your face off? Is that what Action Park was?
You know what? They may have. This is apparent. This is known as the most dangerous theme park in the history of mankind.
Is that true?
Yes. People
That's not
died
good.
at this park.
That's not
on
good.
the rides. The idea behind it was you would control the action. Like, it was like a test of courage when you were a teenager in New Jersey. You would go do, like, they had like a Tarzan swing you could do and swing across and flop in the water. The trouble is sometimes the water would be really cold and you would get shocked. It'd be like, I think someone, there'd be all kinds of accidents happen. I think one guy fell on his face. This is like a dangerous water park. Was
this one of those dealios where you had to like sign a waiver that you wouldn't sue
might
and
have.
stuff? Wow.
Now, I don't know if anyone else is left in the chat who knows about Action Park, but if you do, please let me know if you've heard of this. This is the most dangerous theme park in the world, and I went here at least 3 times as a child, maybe more, because when you're a kid, and I don't care how dangerous the thing looks, if your friends are going to call you a chicken shit or your cousins, you're going to do it, whether you want to or not.
No one calls me chicken.
Right.
Yeah, I hate to say I empathize with Marty McFly because I actually get that. If you're called chicken, because what's worse than getting hurt? Being called a coward. Let's be honest here.
Well, see, we used to respond back with, I'd rather be a live chicken than a dead duck.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Well,
yeah, my mother got me over that pretty quick. It's like, no, I'm just intelligent.
Anyway.
You're stupid enough to do it. Go for it.
Do you know what? There's a wonderful episode of Batman the Animated Series where these 2 kids are on top of these moving like train cars, right? And like there's electricity and stuff around them, and like the one kid says, "First one that jumps is chicken," and like they're both. And then I think Batman swoops in and gets them before one of them gets killed, basically, right?
Yeah.
He swoops down and puts the kids down. And do you know what his message is? Play chicken long enough and you get fried.
He's not wrong. He is not wrong.
It was kind of funny because they had Superman do a similar thing with some kid doing a thing on a dare, and then Superman the Animated Series, and he gets him down. He's like, I know sometimes it's tough to decline a dare, but sometimes the better choice is, to stay. You made some comment like that, and thanks, Superman. He flies off, and then after Superman flies off, one of the kids says, "What a dork!" Behind Superman's back. No, he's not, and the other kid starts yelling at him.
That's funny.
And that was how Superman and Batman handled a certain situation. Like, Superman was nicer about it, but it's... anyway, getting off track here. Yeah, these were the slides. People talk about this horrid thing.
Wow! Holy cow! Oh, yeah, let me bring this up for Netter to see it. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
Holy crap.
I want to speak. At the times I went to the park, I do not remember ever seeing this thing. So I don't know if it had gotten decommissioned, but apparently
this looks like something out of a Graysdale Plays game.
Is that a slide or what?
It's a water slide, and it shoots you into a pool.
Yikes.
Okay, it's like how you have the roller coasters that go twisting. There was a documentary on
dude, if you don't go fast enough, you're dead. You're just dead.
Okay. I was watching the HBO, it was an HBO Max documentary, and it was called Class Action Park. The idea was like they're going to get sued because of the danger here. Apparently, they were doing experiments on this ride. And the first thing they did was they sent crash test dummies down it. And if the crash test dummies came out in pieces, okay, not safe enough. Let's keep working on it. So I think finally, when the crash test dummies came down in one piece, that's when they started having the young teenagers work in the park. I'll give you $100 if you go down the slide, so we can see how well it works.
Oh
and apparently, they were coming out all bloody when the kids came out of the slide, and they went in to go examine the foam padding that was on the inside. And they found teeth stuck in there.
Oh my God!
There's horrifying stories of this park. People died at this park. I never saw this when I was there. The graveyard is full of brave idiots. Yes, I know, Nate. Anyway,
wow.
This did not exist. I did remember a flume that almost felt like a sheer straight drop. It was a slide, but it was almost like a slide. It was like a drop.
Yeah.
I want to say that was Action Park. I think I went there. I went on that thing. This is the wave pool.
Yeah, we never had a wave pool, but I know the concept. That looks like something that would be fun.
People apparently died this. There were like waves, and there would be lower waves in the front, and then you go further down, the waves became harder.
Yeah.
I don't know if the guy had a heart attack in there or something happened because the water was too cold. Because that's another thing. Sometimes the water would be too cold, and people would be. It's like that shock if it's warm out and you hit something very cold.
Yes.
It messes you up. This happened.
Yeah,
But,
that was one thing that Svengoolie said. Someone challenged him to the ice bucket challenge. And he said, I was going to do this thing, but the doctor said I can't because of a heart condition. So he just paid the money for the charity or whatever.
Listen to me. I didn't do the ice bucket challenge. I was annoyed. Did you do the ice bucket challenge?
No.
No.
It was
Okay,
dumb.
No,
good. I
nobody
didn't
ever,
want to do that either.
no one
I
ever
was dumb.
challenged me or anything like that.
But yeah, there's the pool. I remember thinking this wasn't that bad. I thought this was one of the easy things, but apparently people died in this thing.
My gosh.
Yes. Let's go to what was this? I want to say this was the Roaring River Rapids, but this might have been titled something else.
There is a person, if you go back.
Wait, go back to where? Because
Well, the previous picture, well, not this one.
This one?
No.
hold
This
on.
one?
Wait,
This one?
wait. Describe it, sweetheart,
Okay.
because we're on a 30-second delay
Okay.
here.
Oh.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. Okay, so this one that you got up right now.
Yep.
The person that's not in the front, but kind of in the middle, looks like they're squatting down to poop.
I don't know if I
you
heard
follow
these
where the end
stories.
is in action.
I think she
straight
means
up,
this one. Give
Yeah,
it a
that-
second.
That one that's on the screen.
Oh,
Put your cursor back.
it's going to
up.
go away in a second. Yeah, because
Okay.
I didn't know which one you meant.
Oh,
this
you're
is
on
it's a moving target here, sweetheart, because I don't
Okay.
know.
It's fine.
Oh,
Don't
wait a
worry
minute. I
about
know the one she's referring to. She's referring to this one that's on the screen right now.
Yes,
Person's bent
it'll
over.
come up in a second. There it is. Show me what you want to show
Person
me.
is
now.
bent over
it.
in
If
the
you look
middle.
where
Do
the
you see
end
that?
is, yeah,
This
that's right
one?
there.
Yeah.
It looks like he's bending over a poop
Yeah, it kind of
because
does.
that looks like a butt.
It kind of does. True,
I
true.
don't know if there were any stories of floaters in the pool. I did hear stories of the food they served there. Apparently, when the hot dog buns went stale, they would put them over steam, and that would make them soft again
Yep.
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's true.
I don't-
Well, when you say stale, keep in mind it could be totally fresh, but it's been out in the open air for a day,
I don't
and
know.
it goes stale. So yeah, you steam
I
them;
think I had
they're
a
perfectly
hot dog
fine.
at Action Park. I remember that. This was an odd experience. Everyone went to Action Park. This was just a thing you did in New Jersey.
Sure.
A lot of it brought a lot of working class kids there. This is like their park. They're not going to be able to go to Cancun, but they're going to go to.
And what's great about it is it basically has a Darwin effect, kills off all the, the weaker kids, and the ones that survive are that much stronger for it, right?
No, to be fair, it is sad. The families were talking about it. It's kind of sad too. But
Yeah.
look at this though. Look at the Roaring River Rapids.
I mean, that looks like they're flushing you down a sewer.
Oh, and those two people
That's
are
a
colliding.
tunnel you go in. I remember getting scraped on this one. This did happen.
I
'Cause you
would
get
imagine,
bounced
yeah.
into things because you're like sitting in a tube and you're getting thrown around, and there's sometimes there'll be edge rocks, and sometimes you're trying to keep yourself away from the current and you get sucked in.
Oh,
I don't
jeez.
think I fell out of the tube. I don't think I was that unfortunate, but that could happen too. Like you lose the tube. What do you do if you lose the tube, right? It's like, you got a bunch of 16-year-olds
My
working
gosh.
there 40-plus hours a week. Apparently, that was against.
Well,
like,
look at the top center of that picture. There's an empty tube there. Somebody's not in it.
Why didn't you even think about that? Somebody got one. There we go.
Yeah, seriously, it looks like you're just getting flushed. Giant toilet. This is a fun thing, I guess.
It was exciting. I remember the last time I went out, though. I'm like, last time I went to Action, I'm not enjoying this. I remembered I was thinking that. Was I 8 years old at that point? Maybe a little older. I'm like, yeah, I'm not liking this anymore. But what do we have here? What does that look like to you?
It looks like ski lifts, but there's
It does.
obviously not ski.
Apparently, Action Park in the winter could be turned into like a ski type resort. Like there'd be a hill and you'd go up. So they would do that in
That's
the winter
cool.
time.
That's
They
cool.
used
But-
to have something like this at Great America that would take you from one end of the park to
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah.
Yes. But this would bring you up the hill so you could do the alpine slide. This
Ah,
was not a water park. This would be you'd be on a slide and it'd have like a little thing on it that you would maneuver.
you're slaloming.
I guess.
Apparently, this was extremely dangerous. Uh,
How fast
you-
would it get you going? Because it
and
looks pretty level.
You could make it as fast or I guess as slow. Like it would send you. You're going down basically like a mountain slide
Okay.
on this thing, and you'd be on this little sled. I remember one time before going on this, the guy kept saying, "No, if you don't do this right, you're going to end up like these." And he would show us like accident victim pictures of people
Oh,
that had been on.
jeez. Oh, my God. That's where I would go, you know what? Screw it. I don't need to do this thing.
I did it at least twice, maybe 3 times, and I was a child. Like
Wow.
I was like 6 or 7 or 8. I was around that age doing this because you don't want to be because again, you didn't want to be the chicken. I know I did it. Maybe I didn't do it the first time I went there. Maybe it was the second time when I was older, maybe like 7 or something. I did it. I don't know, but I remember doing this. First time it went well, and it was like a rite of passage. I think one time I got stuck. And then someone hit me from behind, and that dislodged me.
Well, that'll dislodge you.
remember
That's
that.
for damn sure. Might dislodge
yeah.
some teeth, too.
Well, apparently some kid got hit off of this thing and fell, and there were some rocks near there, and they hit the rocks, and apparently these rocks were supposed to have been removed, and I think he ended up dead because of that. He like hit them.
Ouch.
It's just awful. But yeah, here we go. You'd go sliding. This is not as good a picture, but you go sliding down. Look at that. You got a little kid there doing it. See.
Wow.
So this is Action Park, most dangerous. Looks like a creepy ride. They some said that Walt Disney was inspired by adventure and fantasy for his Disney World, and they said the guy that made this park was inspired by Lord of the Flies. Okay,
I would imagine. My God.
just awful. just. I'm sorry. But this was a New Jersey thing or a Northeast thing, and I guess if
My
you've never heard of it.
gosh.
But
No, I
if
hadn't.
you go to the YouTube channel Defunct Land, he does a short video.
Oh, I love Defunct Land. I'll
Watch
check
his
it
thing
out.
on
Okay.
Action Park. There's a full but his coverage is very good of it too. And it's like when he finally does it, it's like you see all like the headlines and everything, and it's
Yeah,
like,
I want to
like
hear
this-
the body
like you-
count.
Like usually his stuff is more friendly to the subject matter, like more
Yeah.
nostalgic, but this is like more intense music. It's funny when he talks about Action Park. Oh my goodness. But I braved it. I am a survivor of Action Park. I did remember doing this as a kid.
Wow.
So
Well,
there we
you
go.
know, you're
Look at this
that much.
thing.
Yeah. Oh gosh, can you imagine you go off that side? That's a bit of a drop there.
Mm-hmm. This
And there is no railing there that's going to keep you from flying off of it.
and apparently I don't know if he had coverage by the local hospitals, the guy owned it, or the cops or something. Like, oh, they looked away on certain things. This was messed up. They were hoping to turn this into a major theme park attraction. They were hoping to make this part of New Jersey like a theme park destination.
Sounds like they turned it into a major death trap.
I don't know if it's still around. I know they were trying to bring it back, but yeah, they have something like that in Deep Creek, Maryland. Yeah, I wonder if they have other similar parks. But yeah, this was an insane.
Right
water park.
on, man.
But it's the last thing. I never went to this, but I figured since we were on the subject of New Jersey,
Sure.
here is New Jersey's famous jungle habitat,
Okay.
where you get to drive your car through and see a bunch of wild animals, and sometimes they might come up to your car. And suck
Yeah,
up
so
your
these
car.
were real wild animals. It looks like here we've got camels.
This
My
was a bad
understanding is
idea.
that camels like to dance when the feeling is right. At least that's what the Wi-Fi's tell me.
This was a bad idea.
Oh,
This
fuck,
was-
man. Lions? What? This is... How many people died at this park?
And
I
I'm
don't
looking at
know.
it going, Dear, ask them how to get to the highway.
Yeah, this
Oh
is...
my goodness.
You know what? This is... And I could just imagine how many people got killed just by being stupid. Let me get out and get a picture with the lion or some stupidity like that. You know what? I honestly am of the mind that, Things like this are actually good for society. Weed out the stupid people. Get Darwin back in it. We gotta bleach that gene pool every now and again.
Anyway, I did not have the privilege of seeing this park this back in the day, because I think it was shut down. If you go to the website Weird New Jersey, you can see pictures. It's now in ruins. It's
I would
like
imagine
weird ruins in the middle of the forest out there in Jersey, and then you can go.
Are the wild animals still living there in the jungle or whatever?
I hate to say this. I don't know if this is a story I had heard, or if this was a urban legend, but I don't know if this was an urban legend or if this actually happened, where they think they found the bodies of the carcass of the animals after the company shut it down and they killed the animals.
Oh, that's terrible.
I don't know if that happened or not, though, so don't quote me on that. I think I heard that.
No, what you do is you let them go into the forest, and start the whole new ecosystem. If some people get killed, well, it's Darwin at work.
If they did that, though, that's a major.
It is.
They could go to jail for that, I think. But
Yeah,
it's awful.
You're right.
Send them to a habitat. You could probably call somebody, and they'll take them away from you.
Well, is this how the reality show, the Lion King, not Lion King? What was it called?
Lion King. Lion Whisperer? What are you talking
about? No. What was that reality show with the weirdo people that kept lions in the United States, and one of them ended up getting arrested for killing somebody or something?
I don't know. Was that the guy that made the movie about them hanging out with the lions, and it had some famous actress in it? And it's like, no, these not good to be around lions.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd heard something about that. No, it's just no. Don't.
I want to say the Lion King, but that's that Disney show. It must have been something like
this.
That.
This is a reverse drive-through.
Yeah, reverse drive-through. Yeah, you are the food they're trying to get out of the car. Exactly.
But apparently, like, the baboons were attacking someone's car here once. I'd heard.
Yes, I would imagine.
It's like, hey, Mister, you got any spare change?
They dramatized that in the movie the Omen. You remember that? Boomer. Hello, Boomer.
Oh, did we lose Boomer?
Is it Boomer that we lost, or did you guys lose us?
It might have been one or the other, but I switched internet.
Okay.
But I'm basically done. But yeah, this was jungle habitat. I brought this up.
My
I don't know why I brought
gosh.
this up, just to show you that New Jersey was a messed up place at one
Just-
point. Like it still isn't.
I'm starting to think, the fact that it's Jersey, maybe that makes sense, I guess. I don't know.
Look at this, though. But yeah, look at these kids. They're going up to the Alpine slide.
Jeez.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just this thing though. I have to say I never saw it. Maybe it did exist at one point, but it was. I never saw it when I was there. It doesn't ring a bell. But you can either watch the documentary on HBO or just watch Defunctland's video on this. Maybe I'll send it to you after the stream.
Okay.
Take a look at it. Yeah, it's there's a book about it too. Look at that. Yeah. Oh, you could also do. Oh, there was also cars. They also had like motor vehicles, like you do like drag.
Oh yeah, we had a park here that was it a tent? It was okay. Yeah, we had like a go-kart place that was near that water slide I was talking about. I did that a couple times. That was kind of fun.
But yeah, that wraps it up. Anyway, do you have any other summer memories you want to mention?
Well, yeah, I figured I was going to bring up just a website that as we were talking. Let me go ahead and share. So this is, I know I've talked about this on the stream before. This was Dispensa's Kitty Kingdom. Okay,
what?
From 1975 to 1984, it was here in Oakbrook Terrace, and okay. So this was a big parking lot. This area, are you seeing? Yeah, you're seeing my what do you call it? And so these were where the cars would park. And if you can imagine, this is the front view of like a castle, right? This was actually a converted warehouse, and it kind of looked like a warehouse on the inside. And you'd go in, and what it basically was a big ass friggin' toy store. They had friggin' everything here. If you couldn't find it at Toys R Us, you came to Dispensa's Castle of Toys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And
wasn't there Dispensa's Kitty Kingdom?
Yes,
oh, yeah.
right here next to it.
Okay.
This it wasn't the first year, but they eventually, because they had the land to do it. And this is all just carnival rides.
Yeah.
It was, these little, not huge. There was, I'm not seeing it here. Maybe it was another year or something. They had a little roller coaster, a little roller coaster. I mean, when you say it was kiddie, it was for kids.
It went up a whole 15 feet, did one little tiny loop around.
This might be it here in the front. I mean, it was really small. But look at this. They actually had 2 Ferris wheels. And this was one of those, the little, you sat in the cars and they'd go around, and then the 3 sets of cars would go around the center. You had a merry-go-round.
Oh.
You had variations on merry-go-rounds here as well. I think they had over here, they had like carnival games and whatnot. It wasn't all that exciting. And what would happen is you'd go inside and you'd buy tickets. And then the tickets would be used to, get on the rides and stuff. They've got pictures from, well, this is the same one. So there's that. Oh, does this give a decent, let me blow this up. Let me see if I can, it doesn't give you a better view, but this shows you the parking lot full, so there's that. Let's see. Here's a good shot of it from the parking lot. So this is what the... let me see if I can blow this up. There we go. There's a good view of it. You can see what the castle looked like from the front. And, now you can see it. They had these big toy soldiers out front here. They were about, 15 feet tall or so. I thought that was pretty impressive. I really kind of, it says Kitty Kingdom there. I love this place. They had a whole aisle just Star Wars toys.
Wow.
I loved that. That was a wonderful, wonderful memory. And then they're showing like the horses from the carousel and whatnot. Oh yeah, the cups from the drink stand and whatnot. Some of the other things that you could buy. These were the games where you knock over the cats. Man, yeah. It was like a big permanent. What do you call it? Like a carnival. This was the. Oh, come on, blow up. Yeah, and these were the shops. There was a children's theater. Oh, I forgot about the children's theater. I remember that. The candy store. You buy all these old-fashioned candies like taffy and whatnot. Ice cream parlor. God, I loved this place. I don't know why it didn't last. It was in Oakbrook Terrace, which is mostly like big office buildings and stuff. So it wasn't, an easy place. I couldn't ride my bike there, for example. Wow, this is a place for like real nostalgia for it. They even have like pictures of the tickets and stuff that you would buy. My gosh. Oh yeah, they something tells me they didn't have the rights to things like these characters, Woody Woodpecker and Donald Duck.
Definitely not Donald Duck.
And Popeye. Yeah, something tells me they didn't have rights to this stuff. Oh, right, and the train that would go around. Oh, I love that train. And there's the roller coaster I was talking about.
Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, it was Might Mouse. Might Mouse. So yeah.
Actually, I think it was supposed to be pronounced Might-E Mouse.
But yeah, this is the office building that's there now. This is literally on the spot where that used to be. And I actually had, they used to have classrooms in there for DePaul University. I took a class there one time. Just, oh gosh. But yeah, sad. So yeah, here's Oak. Oh, okay. So this is where the Oakbrook Terrace Tower is. This is the building that used to be where the Castle of Toys was, but yeah, now it's just part of the parking lot. Oh, that was sad. But anyway, yeah, that was one little memory. And then, like I said, that water slide that I was talking about before, that was like just down the road from where the Castle of Toys was. Want to welcome Playing Down Under. Welcome. And he asks, "Is Netter Troy's husband?" Yes.
Netter is Troy's wife.
Yeah. Yeah. I spouse. Let's say spouse.
I'm his wife.
Yes, exactly.
Spouse is okay. This is what was driving me nuts. I was watching some Australian series, and they refused to call this woman's husband got murdered, and she kept saying he kept calling her the husband partner. Because partner is the PC term, and I'm thinking there is a gender-neutral term. It's called spouse.
Spouse, yeah, exactly.
Partner
implies you live together, but you aren't married. Yes. That has a specific meaning. Absolutely right. But yes, Netter and I are married 30.
It'll be 32 years in August.
32 years. Yeah, it's at the point where we got to do maths to figure out how long we've been married. Yeah, well, I do.
Laying Down Under, are you from Australia?
Hell, I can't even remember how old I am, let alone how long we've been married. For crying out loud.
Yeah, the way it's worded, it makes it sound like we're both guys, because I would be your husband. So I clarified. Troy
to be fair, I didn't notice that
I read it backwards too. Yeah, so
I didn't notice it at first either. I'm like, yeah.
People didn't notice that I actually had a mistake in my monologue at the beginning. I meant to say that school was out, and I said summer was out.
If you see a big parking lot in the city, just assume there used to be something cooler on that land before.
Yeah, you're kind of right, Samuel Proctor. That you're kind of not wrong.
If you watch the first episode of The Unexplained, you get to find out about I think a haunted amusement park that was sort of covered over.
No, that's okay. Down Under. It's just these days you don't know if it's a mistake or someone trying to be, all political wokey. I don't know.
It's fine. Are you from Australia down under? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to assume, but it seems like seems reasonable. But
I was watching NCIS Sydney.
So last night on Netter's Network, well, I guess now it's after midnight, so it's 2 nights ago, right? On Netter's Thursday on Netter's Network, we had Tom Conkle and Lucinda Bruce, who Lucinda is from Australia. And
he said, "Yes, I am. Unfortunately."
Unfortunately, okay, fair enough.
Check out NCIS Sydney if it's on there down there.
And I wasn't really thinking it through when I said something about. I said something about the weather because she was in California at the time.
Yeah, and she said it was winter down there.
And she's like, "Yeah, it's a nice change of pace because it's cold in Australia right now because it's winter down there." And I thought it through and I was like, that's true. I had totally forgotten. And that's when I said, that gives me the perfect opportunity to ask you a question I've always wondered. When Santa Claus goes to Australia, does he wear like Bermuda shorts and a Hawaiian shirt? And instead of reindeer, does he use kangaroos? She's like, sounds good to me.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Australia was the one that came up with the concept of Christmas in July. Because that happened on Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, which was a
Don't know.
1920s Australia show. And I think in an episode they do a Christmas in July.
Well, if you see, this is a cultural thing that I wouldn't know, firsthand. I can only imagine. If you live in Australia, you celebrate Christmas same time of year, but you're celebrating it in the your summer months, the hot. And if you're seeing any media from the States, you're seeing all the winter scenes, all the big Christmas movies all take place in winter time. And, think about that movie, The Christmas Story, right? And the shoveling, and I can't put my arms down, and whatnot. It's all kind
childhood.
of, yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'm in brutal summer here in Florida.
And that's right. Sashi and Playing Down Under are both on the other side of the date line. So that means you guys are in the future. That's absolutely right.
Gotcha.
When Netter talks about not even being in the same room, sometimes not even being on the same continent, you're the guys she's talking about. Yes. Yeah, it's true. Christmas in July is the thing. So Christmas in July for you guys would be an opportunity to enjoy the wintry, Christmassy type to-dos. Yeah, I dig that. That's the other thing. When you go to other countries, well, see, I never would have thought it would be that different. I mean, U.S. and Australia both are former colonies of Britain, so we share, a lot of traditions, especially, around religious stuff. So I think the concept of Christmas is probably the same. But then you go to Japan, Christmas is just a different concept there from what I've understood. I guess Colonel Sanders is real big for Japanese Christmas, from what I hear. The principal at my son's school refuses to call my wife
Ridiculous.
or me her husband. So I said, you won't call us husband and wife, but you call a dude with a beard and a dress a woman. Yeah, good point. If you're going to respect their identity, you better respect ours as well.
It's the Clown World Decade, and I want to get off this horror show already. But
not sure, but we might have to participate in a death match playing down under. I think there can only be one, not 100% certain. Yeah, okay, you guys gonna pull out swords or something like that?
I forgot, where's Sashi from?
Malaysia.
Malaysia. Okay.
Oh, he just said it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But we'll see. I don't check my analytics very often, but it is kind of neat that I see, majority of the people, that watch are U.S. Then I got a bunch
cool.
in the
You
U.K.
From other
and then
watching.
The spattering. I'm like, okay, that one must be Sashi.
Everyone's welcome here from other countries.
Oh, everyone's absolutely welcome.
Frankly,
I wish I had more.
I like hearing perspectives from people.
Absolutely. In fact, love to hear about what your summer memories, or I guess winter memories, maybe if you're on the south end of the world. But did you have vacation time when school would let out and you would be out for a season or something like that, like we do? That gave you those opportunities to do those activities and build those kinds of memories and whatnot. Just a reminder, in the description of every video, every live stream down below, I've got links to our Discord, to groups that I have set up on MeWe, specifically so that we can continue the conversation in between streams. So if you want to, jump into the MeWe group or the Discord for last call and say, yeah, you were talking about this, and share your story, I would love to check that out and hear it. Although, after the stream ends, you could always leave comments below too. I'll read those as well. But And, of course, if you've really, really enjoyed what we did here tonight, you can always buy me a drink. Pinned comment up there at the top of the chat. Well, top of the chat if you're here in Rumble. Netter, I don't think has it, but there's a link down below if you want to buy me a drink as well. So,
I can drop.
And I am hoping that in about the next month or so, I get monetized, so you can become a member and cool. Buy me a drink on a monthly basis. You can always do that too. So that could be coming really soon.
Okay, I just realized that my PayPal buy me a drink link I didn't have in with all my other links, so I need to get that.
There you go. And you'll also notice that although the link functions in the description below, if you try copying it, it is not the full link.
Hold on.
But, yeah.
There we go. Okay, so I got that, and I just gotta get out of there.
You know, Sashi, you may have just summed up the whole concept around humor and the human experience. Humor absolutely is a defense mechanism for depression. It really is. And those people that develop that sense of humor tend to be happier people.
There we go.
And we figure, especially with the events of late, we wanted to maybe make a happy, funny stream tonight. For those
Man, even talking about that crazy New Jersey park where people got eaten by lions and flew out of the
those
the
are
water
two
slides.
parks. They were not related to each other. Action Park.
I know, but it's like,
Habitat
is this
were
a
two
New
different things.
Jersey, specific thing? What can we come up with that would be pretty much a lot of fun and exciting, but could get a lot of people killed?
It's
I
nothing.
just
It's
found something.
What?
I was able to pin the message to the top with the link. I didn't know I could do that in
in
Rumble.
Rumble. Look at that. You learned something new.
Yes. There's a bunch bunch more options when you click the three dots in Rumble than in YouTube.
That was New Jersey. How can I say? It was a crazy time to be
When did you
alive.
move to Florida?
93.
Wow. So you've been to Florida for a long time.
Yes. So I guess I am now a Floridian. I don't know how long you have to live here before you can consider yourself a Floridian.
Hell, you moved to Florida like right around the time Netter and I were getting married, for crying out loud.
There you go.
Wow.
Yep, I was
like 30 years. My gosh.
junior year high school. That's when I started different high school. Went from my Catholic.
You were in your junior year of high school. I was getting married in my second year at college.
Yeah. I moved here, no friends. Because all my friends were up north, I had to make new ones, and I was alone.
And you still have no friends.
Shut up. Anyway, I have plenty of friends. I was alone on a Friday night.
Yes, we have said this many times, Sashi. Agent Boomer is Florida man. Yes, absolutely.
I was alone on a Friday night, and the Fox Network was starting 2 new shows. One was Briscoe County Jr., and the other was The X-Files. And I didn't have anything else to do, so I watched both. And that's how I got into the X-Files. I watched it the premiere night and was hooked ever since, yes. Actually, it was really the second episode that hooked me. The first one was okay. Good enough, but I want to see where it's going from here. And then episode 2 is almost one of the most perfect hours of television you can ever watch, is episode 2 of the X-Files.
Well, I was going to recommend, I was going to bring up the webpage for Florida Man Coffee to try and boost... Greystone Plays company, but apparently the website is down, so I can't share that with you. But Florida Man Coffee is a thing. Just there you go. Just sharing. But that kind of ruined my joke, but and it ruined an opportunity for me to hawk some coffee for a fellow YouTuber who doesn't even know who I am, so. That wouldn't matter.
Maybe I can give out Thursday things.
Good try. I've tagged him in a whole bunch of stuff on various social media, and he doesn't even know.
Yes, but I am she of the smoldering avatar.
Check him out on Twitter. He posted or he shared someone else's video. It was what you know how that is. You see somebody has shared something, and you're like, "Oh, I got to share that with so and so," only to realize it was that person who had shared it in the first place. Gray Still Plays shared a video of some pretty impressive remote control car driving, going up a ramp onto a roof, across the roof, down into the backyard and whatnot. And I'm like, man, that's just like a Gray Still Plays game. And I was getting ready to share it with him, only to find out that the person that had shared it was Gray Still Plays.
If you search for Gray Still Plays on Twitter, I see a couple different ones. Are you sure the one that you're following is the right one?
Yes, because it was the one that was attached to his YouTube
so then
page.
I will follow him as well.
Cool.
But yeah.
Oh, the remote control car thing. Yeah, that's crazy.
Isn't that just like a Gray Still Plays game?
Yeah.
And I was getting ready to share it with him, only to find out, he had already shared that.
Yeah, apparently Bilbo Baggins, who's been verified on Twitter, is the one who had.
So it's the real Bilbo Baggins.
I guess so.
Wow.
Yes.
It causes me to wonder what it means to be verified on Twitter now.
It means you paid some money
to get a blue check mark
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Gray
Well,
doesn't have one. He's got a beer mug.
exactly right. So we so I was going to say tomorrow night, but really later tonight, Big Al presents. You saw the promo at the beginning of the stream, Midnight Madness. The introduction of Michael J. Fox. It's his first movie.
Who's the Superwoman in your little trailer?
So let me see if I can find that video and bring it up again real quick, because it's actually kind of I spend a lot of time on these. You'd think they're just put together, but I spend way more time on them than I really should. Give me a second. It's promo archives, Saturday Night at the Movies, Midnight Madness, Midnight Madness promo. Okay, let me bring this up. I was tickled by this. Let me share my screen. Present. Share screen. Share entire screen with sound. Okay. So, the first thing I find funny about this is the film is now the movie. That's humorous, in my opinion. Then you get the impression it's a silly slapstick type of movie. Midnight Madness. The Meat Wagon. Okay. Pabst Blue Ribbon, starring, and then I call this guy the Spirit of Last Call. Why? Because he does exactly what I would want to do. He jumps into the vat of beer.
I don't like beer.
Yeah. An American Werewolf. A flounder, right? You're following me so far. A nerd. Super chick. Okay.
Super chick.
I forget the actress's name, but the only other thing that I've ever seen her in was it was that Saturday morning, oh gosh, what was it called?
ISIS?
Croft Super Show. Let me look it up. Let me see. Deborah Klinger is her name. And she played Super Chick in the segment called Captain Cool and the Kongs.
Yes, I remember that show.
Yes.
Saturday
So
morning.
she is a super chick, right? That's a bit of a deep dive. Not many people would know that one. And of course, introducing Marty McFly. My gosh, he was young.
I think he was 12.
Yeah, something like that. So, Midnight Madness, a movie I haven't actually seen, but I have heard so much about. Netter's been talking about it for the past 30 years, and so now I really gotta get around to seeing it. But yeah, thought you'd get a kick out of that.
I like it.
So that's the movie for tomorrow night, and let's see. So yeah, and then speaking of Michael J. Fox, those of you that joined us on Monday for Monday Night at the Movies, we watched Back to the Future 1 and 2. Deleted Scenes and Jedi Bill will be hosting Back to the Future Part 3 on Sunday afternoon for Western Cinema Presents. So that is 3 Central, 4 Eastern, and Netter and I will be joining them for that. And then, of course, Unscripted with Deleted Scenes at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. And then we got something going on your channel at 8 Central. What is that, Agent Boomer?
8 Central, 9 Eastern. That will be Geeky Geezers. We'll be talking about some of the events of the week, like the incessantly sinking box office, it seems, unless they're going to have a big hit this weekend. I don't know.
Yeah, I honestly feel like,
People
it's very clear. It's very clear that the entertainment industry is taking a hit because people are not streaming. They are not interested in your streaming services. They're not going to the theater. And if this kills off the cinema, then you're going to be making even less money. Hollywood, you better get your heads out of your collective asses. Start making decent films. Quit blaming the audience and start just making damn good movies. Start looking at yourself in the mirror. Start blaming yourselves because you are the only ones you have control over. Anyway, so that'll be Geeky Geezers on Sunday, and of course, Deleted Scenes ends the weekend with The Other Side of Midnight. That's midnight East Coast, 11 o'clock Central. This Monday Night at the Movie, kind of a continuation of the discussion here. We'll be looking at a couple of summer-themed films, including Summer School with Kirstie Alley and Kevin Costner. And what was the other one? One Crazy Summer with what was her name? Bruce Willis's wife. Help me out here, guys. I'm getting tired.
Bruce Willis's wife.
She was in Striptease.
Demi Moore.
Demi Moore, thank you. Demi Moore, and I don't remember who else was in it. I just remember Demi Moore. So
Gotcha.
So that will be the double feature on Monday Night at the Movies, 8 Central, 9 Eastern. Tuesday is an in-between episode of Live from Sparkwood and 21. Last episode, we watched the last episode of Season 2 of Twin Peaks. We will be looking at a couple of fan productions, including the biopic, the story of Flappy, the bird from the opening credits. We will see a little bit of a mood piece that was filmed by a fan at the various Twin Peaks festivals, called Beyond the Meanwhile. And we will begin talking about some of the extraneous, I guess these days you'd call it multimedia platforms.
The Lost Tapes?
The authorized biography of Dale Cooper, Diane, My Life, My Tapes, which actually received Kyle MacLachlan a Grammy Award. And then we'll see where we're going to go from there. We will, in short order, be then picking up with Twin Peaks: The Return. So, But yeah, this Tuesday we'll have a number of really neat little surprises for you. Next Thursday, Netter, who are you going to be sitting down with on Thursday?
Good question. Next Thursday we will have on Mrs. Dadman Walking 55.
Mrs. Dadman Walking. There we go. So it's Mom Woman Walking?
It's Dadman Walking 55's wife.
There you go.
And I'll have him on 3 weeks after her. So
There you
it's
go.
her, then I have 2 more guests, then I have him.
That's awesome. That's
Mrs.
awesome.
Dadman Walking 55.
Oh, this is interesting. So, playing down under says, Age of Boomer, your avatar looks like me without the glasses. You want to explain the?
He used to be on Six Flags commercials. He was the old man that would go dancing about, and
right. And he wasn't really that old. It was a makeup
it
job.
was like a makeup job
because
but yeah,
he was a dancer that had to do these high energy dances, and it was just funny to see an old guy doing these things.
They're good commercials, actually.
And then that brings us around to next Friday, where I don't know what the topic is, but I will drink, I will get drunk, and I will fall down, and you will laugh. No,
The topic will be alcohol.
Yeah, there will definitely be some talk of alcohol, and I don't know. We'll see where the winds of fate take us. Hopefully you can join us again next week. Anything else that you wanted to mention or talk about, Age of Boomer, before we wrap this up?
I'm good. Just take it easy and watch a comedy.
I'm gonna guess you don't have to work later today.
No, not tomorrow.
That's why you hung out with me as late as you did.
Yes.
Netter, any last thoughts, and then you want to take us out?
Well, of course, I want to remind everyone to make sure that you are subbed or followed to every member of the chat. And if you think that you are subbed on YouTube, please go back and double check that you're still subbed, because YouTube. And with that said, we can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well, good, and fun. But it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat. And you're dropping comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. Hi, Sashi.
And playing down under.
Yeah, and playing down under. So I got another person to add to it.
Yeah.
It just feels like we're all hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a great time. And you guys, you're not just our friends. You are our family. We love you guys, and we appreciate you so very much. You can be anywhere right now, and you're here with us, and it's so encouraging. Not just for us, but for the other members of the chat that you're talking with. It's just really great to see. And just the way that you guys support us on all of our streams, that's family, So thank you so much for being with us. I hope that we will see you tomorrow night over on Big Al's channel for Midnight Madness and the millions of deleted scene shows that happen over the weekend.
Exactly.
But until then, good night and God bless.
Thanks a lot, everyone. It's been a lot of fun. I'm fading fast. That was a strong drink, and now I gotta hit the bricks. So, good night, ladies.
Good night.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.